Hello, welcome to 2023. I'm calling this year a whole new world. That makes me think of that Disney song, which I won't dare to sing for you. This is going to be a game-changing year. 2023 is going to have several planets changing signs. The big outer planet, Pluto, finally leaving Capricorn. Hallelujah. This is going to be a huge shift as long as we are ready for massive transformation at the collective level. We're going to see Pluto do a huge test run on what's going to be a 40-year renovation next year. So 3 months out of out of Capricorn and into Aquarius is going to be a game changer. We're going to see Jupiter ingress into Taurus in the middle of the year, giving us a whole new feeling about what and where we can expand on the earthly plane. We're going to also find that with the movement of Saturn finally out of Aquarius, where we've had a lot restriction around societal rules, and we can now think of those now in hindsight in the rearview mirror as pandemic restrictions and rules and lockdowns and laws around that. And that's very Saturn in Aquarius. He's leaving, hallelujah, into the sign of Pisces, which will bring us an ability to bring our dreams down to reality individually and collectively, and may open up whole new fields of artistic endeavor, including a whole new world of metaverse or simulated reality gaming. We'll get to that as well. And lastly, Mercury himself is doing something really cool, spending like half his year in earth signs because he retrogrades there. This is the mercurial messenger of the gods, and the guy in charge of markets suddenly really focused on the earth, the resources, the money, the land, the markets, the stock markets. And finally, just these are big broad brushstrokes, we're going to get into the details for your sign. And finally, we also have the movement of Mars, who's been in Gemini since August of 22, finally leaving Gemini in his rare 7-month stay there. And that's going to feel like a whole new change of energy as well, especially as all planets will be in direct motion as well by the end of January. And we've been living through retrogradation slog in the last quarter of 2022, if feeling each of us like something is stuck or we can't get going forward, or we're in a quagmire, or we're retrograding back over old territory. Yeah. So Groundhog Day style. So let's get going. We're going to talk about your sign, your rising sign, sun and moon. I'm going to be touching down on the most germane and very most useful information you need to know in a short mini 10-minute reading, in which I'm going to touch down on maybe 2 or 3 max things you must know for your sign in 2023. But if you want the long version, then you're going to check out my description box below, and you can grab your sign, sun, moon, and rising, or my all signs bundle for 23 for a very affordable price, a labor of love. Each video is 60 minutes long on average, and you'll get every single thing you need to know for your sign in 2023. Oh, okay, that's a lot of content already up front. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian. I am a Hellenistic whole sign house, tropical Western zodiac astrologer. No, I am not Vedic. I say this every single time. This is not sidereal astrology. This is using ancient techniques and tools in a tropical Western zodiac sky pinned to the Aries equinox. It's Aries vernal equinox point. So Aries is anchoring the spring season. And that's what a Western tropical zodiac is. Now, it's a symbolic zodiac. Now, also, if you want to know more about me, I teach classes. My Sky Reader 8-week class is taught twice a year. It's an astrology class for beginners. It's, basically be your own astrologer, time your best life. The focus is get enough essentials to be able to do some basic life predictions for yourself using some very easy and very significant tools. And also, you may check out my advanced courses like my Divine Timing Masterclass. Usually teach it twice a year. My next more advanced intermediate level astrology timing tools class, into prediction, is going to be in February. It's only 4 weeks, so you might want to jump into that. All the information to get on there is in the box below, including my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter, which gives you discount codes for readings with me, and a bunch of free gifts and a bunch of perks that nobody else gets. All right. So check everything in the description box. That's that thing underneath the video. People go, where is it? You just click below the title of the video, and then underneath it, there's this whole section with my website and everything else. Okay. So know that your rising sign is the most accurate. And I'm just going to, say, because it's your circumstance of being born, it's where the Eastern horizon lined up to when you were born, like, was it on the tropical Aries or with tropical Taurus? That's your rising. And that's going to be the most accurate because it's about you specifically. your sun sign, which I encourage you to listen to, can be about career, purpose, father figures, your discriminating, choiceful, intelligent self that you are focused consciously on, your conscious awareness in life. And when you listen to your moon sign, that can be what your mother safety, emotional safety, your emotional temperament about what's going on in your sky. In India, they always focus on the moon sign as well as the lagna, or the first house, or the ascendant. Okay, so I suggest you try all three. And if you have a lot of planets in one place, especially if it involves your sun and moon, like I have 4 planets in Aries, including my sun and moon, even though I'm an Aquarius rising, I'll tell you what, when I do my astrology for me, I can often act as if I'm an Aries rising, and it will be very true. Like I'll get a lot of juice from Aries rising forecasts. Okay, let's get started. Now, you're probably listening to this if you're in my premiere live, because I do these live premieres. And if you're with me now, don't forget, the best thing to do is hit the like button. It helps the channel grow. Before I talk about each single sign and give you the highlight, if you don't mind sticking around, and it is worth your time, I think, I'm going to do an overview of some of the things that I think this year ahead of 23, a whole new world, offers for the collective. Now, when I do this, I'm kind of just making guesswork out of the planets, but some of it can be very easy to guess because you look back at past cycles. And I'll do a long video on each one of these things in which I go into far more depth. This is really about you. This is you to get a little bit of a teaser and a hit for what you need to know for 2023 based on your rising, your sun and your moon. But can't ignore the big picture sky. It's almost like see no evil, hear no evil, right? You got to pay attention. Let's talk about those big whole new world planetary changes. So super big on the horizon by far is definitely the movement of Saturn out of Aquarius, because we've been dealing with this sense of restriction in society since he's been there. And he's been there for, by the time he leaves on March the 7th, 2023, and slides into Pisces, we're pretty well done with what felt like lockdowns, restrictions, constrictions around Aquarius groups of people. Okay, that's what Aquarius is: societies, groups of people, groups of belonging, large groups, the collective we. And no one necessarily could have predicted a lot of pandemic restrictions, in 2020, 21, and 22. But a lot of astrologers did say that when Saturn co-joined with Pluto in the very end of 2019, it did correspond with plagues in the past, including the Black Plague. So there was always a sense that potentially this could lead to a pandemic or plague-like things. And of course, it's what happened. And also another way of seeing it is that in Babylonian astrology, Mars was rising in 2019 fall in a malefic place in the sky. And he was also Cazimi in a malefic place in the sky, connected to difficulty in health. Cazimi means he died in the heart of the sun in Virgo, a sign of health. He rose in Libra, a place of detriment. There was a connection to a very malefic star, and all sort of suggested Mars, the god of plagues, because he's the emissary of Nergal, a plague and war god in the ancient tradition, could be happening as well over the 2 years that followed that fall of 2019, ending in October, November of 2021. So the plague is actually over. And that would be the beginning of the Omicron era, right? Which has become endemic in our lives. Now, with Saturn leaving Aquarius, I'm going to say that I don't think we're ever going back to any sense of societal constriction and restraint. And instead, we're moving into something new. So starting in March, around the 7th, when Saturn leaves, he first exit strategy from Aquarius. And this has been hitting the Aquarius people really hard back in 2020, 2021, and 22, right, guys? Like we have been feeling it. So, because it's been going through our sign, but all of the signs of Leo and Aquarius, for example, the fixed signs have felt it. Taurus and Scorpio have felt the square of Saturn to your ascendant sun or moon ever since, 2020, 21, 22. So we have all of those signs that I just mentioned been going under a lot of stress and strain. And now that's coming to an end. Instead, Saturn's going to start picking on the mutable signs. Sorry, guys. It's just, this is your Pisces where he's going, right? And this is your Virgo, and this is your Sagittarius, and this is your Gemini people. Now you get the Saturn square going on for 2.5 to 3 years later. So not us. Hallelujah. Now, one of the things that could happen here that's a positive thing about Saturn moving into Pisces is that Saturn's moving into a place that Neptune has been traveling since the end of 2011. And it's like the big dream, the vision, the illusion, the delusion, the quest for spiritual attainment, the unconditional stuff, that woo, the magical thinking, the addictions, the mental illness, the self-sabotage, the drink the Kool-Aid, the savior, the martyr complex, everything. It's there's a lot of range with Neptune, right? He rules like the film industry. He rules videography and photography, sometimes music, so he's got that story of all those areas. Now Saturn comes along and he's like, hey, I bring form to the formless. I bring structure to the structureless. I give grounded, realistic, sober results to that which is nebulous, foggy, spacious Neptune. So this can be very good for you personally. We'll look at that with your sign soon, because this will be where you can bring your dreams into reality in this whole new world, right? But on the other hand, for the collective, for example, there are many ways this can play out. Religion and spirituality is Piscean. Neptune is fantastical and gurus and illusion and delusioning, even conspiracy stuff. Like remember the QAnon thing, not that I have an opinion, but, or, things like that, really like, because QAnon was founded on Donald Trump being a savior. Now, I don't think Donald Trump's a savior or a devil, but being a savior is a bit much. And so, things like that were happening when Neptune was in Pisces. And then what'll happen is Saturn is going to start to get everyone sober minded, including religious stuff, because Pisces is mostly Christianity. And, but it's the idea with Neptune there of spirituality as well. And Saturn will bring things down to earth, constrict or restrict. Now, I do know that because you look at the history of stuff, for example, when Saturn came into Pisces back in the 60s, it was that thing called Vatican II, where they rewrote the rules of Christianity, basically. I mean, it was intense, and later on, the Church of England actually created its first ordained female minister. I think that was in the early 90s. I can't remember the date. Sorry, 1992 maybe. And that was also when Saturn was in Pisces. Saturn is in Pisces every 30 years. And so you can see religious reform, religious change, like bringing things into new form regarding religions. Now, obviously, as well, it can go the other way: constriction, restraint, and rules around religious practice. And, in some countries where they're cracking down on religion, maybe, I don't know for sure, Russia has been, this can also be just a little bit more of that. Now, when I go into my deep dive on this, we're going to talk about so many ways that Saturn and Pisces can play out, but I'm just giving you a taste. I think one thing is going to be the whole idea of simulated reality, metaverse, using the goggles, seeing the new world. It's got the very Avatar vibe. We went to the 3D Avatar thing. Well, Saturn comes along and goes, yeah, well, fine, but let's like make more form and structure around this. So in other words, we're going to see like a real grounding of some of the virtual reality promises that that have been coming into the public, over the last while. Because, Neptune is a videography. You put on a pair of goggles and it feels like you're in a real world. That's going to just go over the 3 years, probably quite big, as new forms, structures, or technologies are introduced with Saturn's help. Saturn could also make us very rulesy about things, like, oh, these are the rules, follow the rules, or this is the law, not the law, but the rules, or the restraint or the constrictions. So, he restricted our lives as a collective, our groups. We couldn't hang in groups, right, during the pandemic. And there were too many rules about hanging in groups. I live in Canada. I was in Montreal at the time. You couldn't only have one family member that you could visit, and you could have, and you had to be in your home by 7 p.m. at curfew, or you got a ticket or arrested. And like there were super restrictions. Like I lived alone in Montreal, and the only person I could see was my daughter and her boyfriend. That was my designated other household. So I didn't have a nervous breakdown. And so you can see what I mean, right, with the Saturn restriction. Now, what'll happen is Saturn will restrict Piscean and Neptunian things, because Neptune is there. So Neptune rules like Instagram Reels or YouTube or any videography type social media, especially YouTube, because it's all like, it's a TV basically, it's your tube, it's YouTube. And it's the most, other than TikTok, it's the most dominant platform in which the whole thing is video. So maybe there's going to be some new rules. Like even in Canada, there's a legislation that's pending, and I hope it doesn't go through, to make sure that Canadians see more Canadian content. They're asking YouTube to restrict what Canadians can see. And YouTube can't say no. And now YouTube actually, I'm a content creator, told me what's going on and said, you got to vote against this because it may restrict your reach as a Canadian. Also, you know, and my followers here, you guys, you are like 60% from America and then around the world. And I have a tiny fraction from Canada where I live. So, yeah, restrictions and restraints and rules and laws trying to govern the internet when it comes to video content. What can you say? There's just a few ideas I have, and there's a lot more. And what I do feel clear about is social restrictions as a collective regarding pandemic themes are ending. So I'm liking the whole new world. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about Pluto. Pluto's just going to sort of tiptoe out of Capricorn, where he's been since 2008. Think of Occupy Wall Street. Think about the 2008 subprime loan scandal and crash. Think about Wall Street scandals in general. Think about, you know, stock markets crashing and trying to rebirth. Talk about quantitative easing and the mistakes of the Fed. Talk about inflation and the lessons of inflation. This is Pluto transforming, regenerating, trying to rebirth Capricorn, structures of power and money. And that's coming to an end. Did he succeed? I don't know. But he's getting out of there and he's leaving and he's going over into the sign of Aquarius. A pause. And, you know, honestly, it's not until 2024 that he's there for good, really. So just keep that in mind. But he will start a kind of test run, a piloting energy, like to give us a feel for what it's like to have Pluto in Aquarius, you know, and with that Saturn ingress already happening, see how many things are happening. Everybody's changing signs. Saturn will change signs and leave Aquarius, where he's been dominating on March 7th. And then later on, Pluto on March the 23rd comes in and takes his place. It's kind of like musical chairs or a tag team effect, which is really curious at the way it's working. So as Saturn does this exit and Pluto comes in on March the 23rd to June 11th, both Saturn and Pluto are really staying in the, like Saturn only makes it to 7 degrees of Pisces, right? In 2023. So that would imply any ascendant sun and moon within the first 10 degrees of the signs of Pisces. These are mutable signs, right? Virgo, Gemini, and Sag are going to really feel that Saturn ingress the most. But then Pluto similarly only goes into the first couple of degrees as well of Aquarius, meaning that those early born Aquarians are going to feel it the most, like sun, moon, and rising in the first 5 degrees of Aquarius or Leo or Taurus or Scorpio. Those are the angular houses that form this cross, you know, and these are fixed signs. They feel it the most. So I'll give you an example. I'm an Aquarius rising. Wow, my ascendant is like 18 degrees Aquarius. I will feel a mild breeze of Pluto in the air, like, oh, things get so serious all of a sudden. Or I feel kind of powerful. Or geez, I feel a little bit wealthy because that's not the full Monty on my ascendant. Because Pluto can bring wealth, Pluto can bring power, but Pluto can also bring change that is deeply transformative and regenerative, almost like, you know, the caterpillar and the butterfly. It's a cliche, right? I get it. But it is an apt one because in essence, you know, a caterpillar's life is like crawling on the ground or on the leaves, and all of a sudden the butterfly is flying around. It's such a dramatic transformation. So you can also say that all Aquarius rising people, especially, and secondarily sun and moon, will transform. Now, not to worry you, but your sun is your father and your moon is your mother. And if your sun or moon is in the first 5 degrees or even 3 degrees more likely of the sign of Aquarius, and Pluto is going to go over that sun or moon, this could be very challenging problems, health problems, sometimes even death for a solar lunar figure in your life, a mother, father figure. Now, it could be also a grandmother, father figure. I mean, but I'm not trying to worry you. I'm just trying to tell you astrology is really literal, and your sun and your moon aren't always about you, you know? Patriarchal and matriarchal figures can be what the sun and the moon are about. Like my mother passed away during a Pluto moon event in my chart, you know, when I was 39. So, and I saw it coming as an astrologer. I was worried, and it did come, right? She passed away unexpectedly. So just to know there is that element of the Pluto transit, especially for those who are sun, moon, and rising first 4 or 5 degrees of Aquarius. So look for that tension there with those father, mother type people, March 23rd to June 11th. When Pluto, the god of power and transformation and can be wealth, moves into Aquarius, you could code that as wealth for the people, power for the people. And I kind of think that's going to happen. And one of the ways I think it may happen, and I'll go into so much more detail for each video for each of these planetary stories, is I think it may involve class action lawsuits. The reason I do, and this is particularly true only until the middle of May, is that Jupiter will be the god of justice in Aries, the sign of the warrior. So fighting for justice. At the same time, the Pluto, power for the people in Aquarius, begins its ingress. And this is where we had Saturn clamping down, restricting, and squashing people with legislation and rules around like things about mandates for vaccines, things about mobility for travel, things about lockdowns, about businesses and homes. And you might see a few people engaging together, whether it's because of employment loss or health challenges from the situation that happened with the lockdowns and or the restrictions or the mandates. You may see these people becoming willing to gather to push back and ask for compensation for something. They're lost employment, they're tanked business or health or whatever. And so I would guess you're going to see one or two, and you can't class action lawsuit certain parties like pharmaceuticals for various reasons. They're exempt. So these will be class action lawsuits against the government. And Saturn rules governments, and Saturn's the ruler of Aquarius. That's just one example of how Pluto power people may come together. Now, sometimes, because Pluto can be like a narcissistic mafia boss, right? I mean, a dominating, controlling, overly directing power megalomaniac, you could see the rise of a few dominant megalomaniac dictator type people in the world trying to control the Aquarius element, the people. That's just going to happen. You're going to see more dictators or power mongers or whatever you want to call them rising into power over the people. So it can be Pluto power for the people or power over the people. Pluto transforms everything. Aquarius can be associated with science, right? And as modern rulers, Uranus, and it can be associated with the ideas and the intellect and as well, but it's also a very scientific vibe. And so Pluto could be transforming science. We may see completely new ways that science is operating from a completely different paradigm. And when I mean paradigm, I mean, and we're going to go into a lot more detail when I talk about what Pluto did in Aquarius in the past. We're not doing it on this video. This is just a shorty, but I'll tell you, it's like, you know, things like when Galileo discovered that the Earth does not revolve. The Earth is not the center of the solar system, and planets aren't circling us. We're circling the sun with those planets. That's a Pluto Aquarius story. So we're going to see major paradigm shifting transformations in how science sees the world. You know, there used to be the Newtonian paradigm, and that was kind of really like force and mass and actions, things acting on each other. And then along came quantum physics and completely shifted the scientific paradigm and gave us new technologies as well as a result. But then there's going to be another quantum leap. Like we're not knowing what it is, but Pluto will like transform or regenerate, so or completely renew or kill and die and rebirth the scientific paradigm. Now you may get a taste of that March 23rd to June 11th. We all may get an announcement in the cycle of science about some new discovery or some new paradigm, like a great discovery, because Pluto can rule power things like oil and gas and stuff. Some people say it's Neptune, but I see it Pluto. Pluto also rules gold and silver and precious metals. And that could be more dispensing of precious metals to the people, or fiat currencies dying as we have currencies based on a new precious metal standard. I'm making stuff up, who knows? And the other thing I'd say is, I forgot my train of thought. Pluto power wealth people. Oh, my brain just went off of line. Oh, it's a scientific paradigm. Oh, oil and gas. This would be a really big shift, but someone discovers a non-polluting / easy on the environment and new energy source, learns how to harness a quantum foam, which has been talked about forever. I mean, do a Tesla in our generation and come up. I mean, Tesla had all kinds of things about how to generate power and electricity. He was in he was in cahoots with Edison, and Edison betrayed him. So we could have a real scientific revolution, paradigm change, as Pluto moves through Aquarius, and we come up with these new technologies, and finally even robotics. Aquarius would be the robotic story with Uranus as a modern ruler. We're going to have our first breakthrough where we have a sentient robot, maybe, and that's already in the air, right? The whole thing is in the air right now, because that Google guy who said that his robot passed the Turing test, which meant that the robot was acting as if it was sentient, so much so that the human couldn't tell the difference. Turing test. So there's a possibility that we're going to have a real breakthrough in what looks like Turing test passing robots, where we can't tell the difference. And that's the story what Pluto may tell for 20 years. He's going to be in Aquarius until 2040. But the first taste of this is March the 23rd to June 11th. I hope you're still with me, because we'll get to your sign. I told you I want to give you the overview, and then we'll move into your sign. I do think that with the third thing, with Jupiter leaving Aries, we're going to find some interesting developments, and that's going to happen. He's going to whiz through Aries from December 20th, 2022 to May 16th, 2023. And what I like about, and so we're finishing up the warrior story. Actually, Mars and Aries often leads to wars, and we saw that the war began before Mars entered Aries, which was May 11th last year until October 28th. We saw the war in Ukraine start before that, but Mars in Aries often is connected to, well, first of all, often connected to the death, assassination of somebody that is in the warlike zone, like a leader, and that coincided with an assassination of one of the Al Qaeda guys, right? Head honcho. But sometimes Jupiter, King, Aries war, cutting throats, ending, can also prolong war, and so I would say that Jupiter is still in Aries, right, until mid-May. So I don't know how that war in Ukraine is going to go, or the war or the battle between Taiwan and China for the sovereignty factor and things like that. There are other hot spots in the world as well. And but then I'm not going to linger here on the Jupiter's remaining time in Aries, because I want to talk about the sweet spot in Taurus just as a principle for the world. There's going to be a lovely kind of feeling here as Jupiter comes into contact with the North Node in Taurus. So there's a synodic cycle around that. The North Node moves every 18 years through, or 18 and a half, 19 years, 20 years to go through a sign, right? So that's North Node moving through Taurus. This is the beginning of January 2022. That's our eclipse cycle. And then we have the movement of Jupiter now meeting with the North Node, and Jupiter does it every 12 years. So there's a 12-year and an 18-year cycle meeting together. So it's not a common thing. And in fact, just to let you know, the last time we had the Jupiter North Node of the moon meeting together in Taurus, I'll let you know when that was, so you can see what I mean. So this was last back in 1929, and this was around the 21st degree of Taurus, and it did correspond with a shocking stock market collapse. So we know that it can also be sometimes negative. And the reason that may have happened, of course, is because Taurus has to do with money and currency, has to do with things to do with those tangible financial things, assets, and things like that. And of course, it led people to lose their homes and jump off buildings. So there can be a downdraft here. And so I'm quite aware of that. And so on the collective side, could we have the same thing happen again? Well, you see in the United States chart, for example, because it was a USA stock market crash that happened in 1929. In the United States chart, and just before the crash, there was all this rational exuberance where the markets were going crazy. So you can also look at the Jupiter North Node as the irrational exuberance that happens before a stock market correction. But nonetheless, Taurus in the United States Sibley natal chart represents a particular part of the sky that is the workforce, the labor force, the sixth house. And this led to massive unemployment, massive downdraft in that employment rate. In fact, let me look at the exact data of that, just so that I'm clear if it was before the actual stock market crash, which I believe was the fall of 1929. So the exact meeting of Jupiter with the North Node was happening on May the 7th. So it really corresponded, I believe, with this incredible inflation of the value of the stock market before it corrected. So we'll see how that looks, because it could be the opposite. You could see Jupiter expanding because the north node, Rahu, the horseshoe thing that looks like this, blows up what it touches. If it touches a benefic, it's supposed to blow up the benefic. But, gas giant Jupiter gets a big, helium lift or something. But sometimes, as the old phrase went just before the tech bubble crash, the irrational exuberance factor. So we could either see irrational exuberance or even just a corrective measure where, say, the workforce is expanding or people are getting back to work and the jobless numbers are going down. But this is happening in May for the world. But for each of us, it'll be a specific spot of Taurus excitement. And it's going to be in play around May 20th to June the 13th, with an epicenter the last couple of days of May and the first few days of June, like getting more tightly exact, right? And so you could find that window of time, we all can, something in our Taurus space of our chart, like expands out. For the world, it's interesting. Jupiter expands what he touches and brings bounty and goodness and prosperity and wealth. And yet Taurus is a fixed sign that likes to conserve and save and not change. And so there's a little contradictory energy, but it could also be a surplus of food, a bounty of food, a bounty of agriculture, some restoring of our agricultural flow and ease and goodness collectively. Those things can happen. Jupiter can also bounce currencies way up. All of a sudden, a certain world currency goes crazy and it's totally happening. Now, because Uranus is in Taurus, this is the crypto world. Uranus is disturbing the currency world with cryptocurrency, even though these currencies are not spendable the same way that real currency is. It's kind of interesting because Bitcoin is more like a new gold standard, but it's not anymore. So people were saying, oh, it's the hedge like gold, but it didn't turn out to work that way, not after the downdraft. But if any of the cryptos are going to come back online, that could be that Jupiter, May, June, July, but May 20th to June 13th window, where you're going to see a resurgence in the faith Jupiter of the Uranus Taurus crypto world. That can happen. Jupiter is law. And so therefore legislation. After the FTX crash, there, because of that guy that I forgot his name now, Freed Bankman guy, Bankman, yeah, he broke the bank. There was a bank run on his FTX and his crypto and stuff, and he was a trading exchange platform. But all the talk in the air now with the government, especially the United States and the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission, is about finding ways to regulate cryptocurrency exchanges and cryptocurrencies in general because of how unsafe it was and how many people lost their money. Okay, so Jupiter law, currency Taurus, and crypto Uranus is there, and yay. And later on in April of 2024, Jupiter will go in through Taurus to meet up with Uranus. Wow, that's going to be interesting, but that's a whole other year. But you get the feeling, right? The whole new world. Big changes of energy, planetary ingresses and new zones, a new vibe. That's what I'm going for, a new vibe. Okay, then the next thing I want to say is the nodal axes are shifting. We've been going through all of these eclipses, going through poor me, Aquarians, right? All the fixed signs, again, Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, Taurus, being buffeted by eclipses because they were happening on Taurus, Scorpio axis. And those eclipses in earnest began as the nodal ingress happened in January of 22 to July 16th, I believe, of 23. The energy is going through, the change current is going through, disrupting and changing things through Taurus, and Scorpio placements, and collaterally influencing the Leo Aquarians and the world. So what did we see? We saw the crypto bubble pop. We saw stock markets correcting and stuff like that. That seems to be a part of what was going on as Taurus, Uranus, currency, crypto eclipses were occurring, especially the gnarly eclipses, especially the Venus corrupt data file eclipse that happened October 25th at 2 Scorpio opposite the cryptocurrency house. And anyway, things like that. That was a total FTX story. So that's coming to an end. And now we're going to enter into a new zone of eclipses, which is through the Aries, North Node transit, and South Node Libra in the month of July. And that will last 18 months, but it's going to feel like a new world. It's certainly going to lighten up your load if you've been one of us fixed signs, and now intensify your story. I'm sorry, if you're one of the cardinal signs of Aries and Libra, get ready, get set, go, buckle up, hold on for the ride of your life, especially the Aries, you guys. You are expanding, you are changing dramatically, you are growing, where, the Libra folk are kind of pulling in, pulling back, deepening, quieting down, and sort of going into their, soul. then, you know, spirituality, and then Capricorn, Cancer, you're getting the collateral, like crossbar wave, like, you know, what do you call it? Like, you're in the chop and the wake of those eclipses. So you're feeling it too. And it's your time to change, you know, Cancer, Cap, you know, get ready, Libra, Aries, Libra, Aries. So, but Libra, Aries, the most change. And so in the world, you know, Libra, Aries have different meanings depending, for example, where you live, what country you live in, and stuff like that. So, you know, if I look at United States chart, which is a Sag rising chart, right? And we then go, well, where are the angles that connect to the new change cycle in the United States? And you can do this for your country as well. And I live in Canada, but, you know, United States is my followers are United States. So I tend to focus on that. So when you would look to the angles for you guys in the United States of your 11th, 5th house axis, and you would look also for your second house, 8th house axis of your country. And the second house is Capricorn, and it has to do with the wealth of the nation. And now you're going to have collateral waves coming off the angles of the eclipse to you. And so there's that. Cancer is also this connected to money and banking and stock markets of the United States. So this kind of crossbar cross wave is hitting the US, but also then 5th house themes and 11th house themes, which tend to be more positive, are also directly being amplified. And with like 5th house themes can also be about the enjoyment, the play, and the pleasure and the entertainment factors that people in the country are dealing up and having fun with or exploring. And that could be good. Like, why not? Right. So you could have like a whole new entertainment world open up. As I said, I do think that's going to happen with the metaverse or simulated reality or augmented reality stories. All right. Certainly rocking the markets, though, and certainly rocking the economic wealth of the country of the United States. And how I think that mostly happens is going to be a stock market, a currency correction with Jupiter in Taurus, particularly. But I think there's going to be a currency price correction in the US dollar that's going to take the US dollar away from being the world petrodollar, basically. And no, it's already in place. Saudi Arabia is working with China directly and Russia directly. The United States has lost sort of like the weight of the dollar because it was tied to petro gold barrels. People could only buy like petro as gold. People could only buy petroleum and gas and stuff in US currencies, right? So it was setting a standard around the United States currency. And the reason the United States currency is doing well right now, and I'm recording in December of 22, is because compared to other world currencies in our destabilized inflationary environment, it looks good, but it's always weighed against other currencies. And so therefore, I expect a massive downdraft of some sort of the US currencies during the movement of the nodal axis shift into the Aries axis of the sky, the Libra axis of the sky, crossing through the Capricorn and Cancer money houses of the USA chart. And I think Jupiter is contributing to that. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. Let's get going now, and we're going to get ready for all signs. If anything I want to say, I'll just because there's so much to talk about next year. Honestly, that's when I'm going to do a video for everything. Venus does a lovely 4-month stay in Leo next year, very rare 4-month transit. Basically, it's like June the 5th to October 8th, and that's going to benefit so strongly the idea of women in power as a general theme. In your chart, it'll mean something different, but women in power, powerful women, women as regals, women as ascending into power, women influencing us who are in power. It's going to be great for women, women's movements, women succeeding and stuff like that. What is a woman? I don't know, a female succeeding and all of that. Then you have that fact that all of the Mercury retrogrades, starting off with the beginning of your Capricorn and then Taurus and Virgo, these are going to mean that almost for 2 months or more, Mercury's in Earth signs and contained in the bound of Earth, which is kind of cool. So it's an elemental earth year. And this is a term that Gary Caton, a wonderful astrologer, has come up with. It's not my term, but it means that Mercury is really containing his action. And as long as it stays within earth signs, this will benefit, of course, all of you Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn people in 2023. Capricorn's first, then later Taurus's, and then later Virgos. But the gist of it is it's also about resources, wealth, land, property, money, currency, stock markets. These are power structures, Capricorn, governments. These are where Mercury's playing around. He's a mischief maker, a coyote. You know, he brings significant change when he's close to Earth and he's retrograding. Things change, synchronicities happen, but yeah, things really start to change. So these are the areas in the world. So think about things to do with land and things to do with agriculture and things to do with money and currencies and stock markets and things to do with health. Virgo's health and health systems. So maybe a renovation of the health system. Mercury in Virgo for 2 months, right? So those themes are moving through our sky in 2023. And, Mars finally leaves Gemini, and hallelujah, a whole new world. It really is a whole new world, because starting August 20th last year to 22 to March the 25th, 23, he was in, a war of words, a war of ideas. Our brothers fighting against brothers, like the Ukraine, because Ukraine, Russia are neighbors, brothers, because Gemini is the twins. And, having Mars in that sign of words and ideas and the twins has led to a huge time since August through to March 25th, where things like the battle at Twitter and the Twitter chaos, and then Elon finally buying it and firing half the staff, and now being threatened by Apple to take the app for Twitter off their app store. That's a Mars and Gemini story. I mean, there's so many Mars and Gemini stories, right? The releasing of the female prisoner from Russia in the prisoner swap, the soccer team from Morocco that beat all of to move up the ranks, beat Portugal and like these other more established European soccer teams to get there. That's the Mars athletic energy and warrior energy and competition and gamesmanship. Spending so much time in Gemini. And the whole thing about the brothers, this happened under the occulted moon, December the 7th, 8th. And it actually brought people together when that soccer team won. It did, because now the Arab world is embracing Morocco winning. So it's a Africa-Morocco love up of the brothers of Africa. Because don't forget, a lot of the Arab world intersects with North Africa, and a lot of the culture in Africa is Arabic in terms of the Islamic religion. And so anyway, so now the Islamic and the Arab world is embracing the African world as we are one, as we are going to continue to go for the World Cup and win. It's kind of cool bringing the brothers together. And I'm saying that because Mars was occulted, meaning that in the moon, in Gemini, the big full moon, Mars was at us furthest from the sun and is brightest in the sky, and a full moon covered him up. So Mars is a malefic. He creates the war, the strife, the conflict, the disagreements, and it worked the other way. And I have a funny story. I took my daughter shopping, which I hate doing, and we usually fight when we shop, and it was during the occulted moon, and I bought her some beautiful clothes, and we didn't fight once, and we said we had the best shopping trip we've ever had. Why does it matter? Because the moon and Gemini is my 5th house of children, where Mars has been going. And instead of having that fight with my daughter 2 days after that moon, 3 days after, it was actually the best shopping trip we've ever had together. So an occulted Mars I'm seeing turns out to be a Mars who can't damage anything. And in fact, may do the opposite. Instead of cutting and tying, severing, he's bringing together Gemini, brotherly love, having that soccer team win. And I hope that's entertaining for you. That's how I took it. And I hope you're still listening, because I know you want to do the all signs. Okay. So let's get going. And let's start off with Aries. Why the heck not? Now, one thing is I'm going to tell you, if you're listening in the live still, in the premiere, please hit my like button. It helps my channel grow. The algorithm says, oh, share her thing. People liked it in the live stream. And if you're not subscribed, seriously, at least 50% of the people who regularly view my channel, it shows in the back end, aren't subscribed. Please subscribe. You always unsubscribe, but then when I post something, you get notified when I'm going live or when I'm doing a premiere and all of that. All right, let's get started with Aries. Now, reminding you, check the description box. You can buy the All Signs bundle and listen for your sun, moon, and rising, and share with your friends and family. Makes a great stocking stuffer. I'm happy if you share it once you buy it, so they can listen for their sun, moon, and rising. And the All Signs bundle, it's 60-minute videos times 12. It's such a deal. Or it's a private sale thing. I'm not putting this on YouTube ever. Or you can just a la carte buy your sun or your moon or your rising sign. But why not buy the bundle? Because you get an all-in-one deal, and then it's more fun. Like I love sharing with people. Okay. So I'm a big, why not share the love kind of girl. Oh, I didn't really want to share this with you. And I'm talking about sharing. I decided I'm not going to share the sky, because I can't share what the whole year of 2023 looks like and circle that graph. That makes absolutely no sense. Okay, Aries, sun, moon, but most accurate rising sign, excuse my squeaky chair, for you. I think the most important thing by far is going to be Lord Jupiter moving through the house of you or over your sun and moon, right? Rising sun or moon. Because Lord Jupiter only made it into the 8th degree last year before he started to retrograde in July and then, pulled back from that 8th degree. So it really kind of benefited people with their sun, moon, or rising in the first, say, 10 degrees of Aries. And then the rest of us, or the rest of you Aries people, us too, because my Aries placements are later on, didn't get the full Monty, the full juice, the Jupiter juice, I call it, the goodness of what happens when Jupiter comes into the place of you as a rising sign. Now, first of all, weight gain is always a feature of Jupiter over your rising sign. And therefore, you may have put on some weight last year, when he was there. Like I did. I put on weight. I was like, oh my God, I feel like really feeling chubby these days. Or you could have been pregnant, or you could have been building muscle, right? These are for the rising sign people in 2022, when Jupiter from May 11th, right, until October the 28th was moving through your sign. But you also could have been more buoyant, more expansive, and renewed your hope and faith in life. You may have connected more strongly to the archetype of being a leader or a teacher. I started really teaching a lot of astrology during that transit because of that transit, more than I had any other year. I love teaching classes. And it's one of my favorite things to do, is help other people learn how to use this tool called astrology. So for me as an Aries sun and moon, I felt that too. But your Aries sun last year and your Aries moon could be your mom and dad, and they could have been getting Jupiter's blessings for their life, or it could have been about your focus on your career. Your sun or your moon could be more about your idea of your nest, expanding your nest. Mm-hmm. When I was having that transit over my sort of pretty close to my moon last year from May to the end of October, I did expand my nest. All right. It led to a relocation of my home to a way better place, more expansive, more better views, a roof deck and all of that. And that was a part of that Jupiter story. So let's keep looking at this year then. This time Jupiter moves past the 8th degree and goes through the entire range of all of Aries. So everyone, sun, moon, and rising through 0 to 29 degrees of Aries will experience the blessings. All right, so that's good. Who doesn't want that luck, opportunity, growth, expansion, prosperity, wealth, leader, better health as well? It can improve your health. Who doesn't want that feeling of Jupiter going through your space in the sky? And one of the things about this placement is you can be very, very, very magnetic to people, charismatic. They'll follow you over a cliff. So be careful where you lead people, right? It's like you're a natural king and queen of Mount Olympus. So I find that it makes you very capable of commanding and leading people. And that can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on where you're leading them. All right. So any downside to having the Jupiter story moving through the house of you? Sometimes you could be overinflated with your self-worth and take yourself way too seriously. Sun is exalted in Aries and Jupiter is pretty powerful. So if it's coming over your sun, you may have super bombastic, super high expectations for your career and purpose, success stories, and you may overreach a bit. Just watch for that. But on the other hand, it's still just Jupiter. And if you aim high and miss the mark, is that a bad thing? I mean, in other words, who says it's a bad thing? Like, why not aim high and miss the mark? At least you try. That's another thing. You could definitely reach new heights of success in something that you're focused on, because Jupiter's working in the house of you. So it's what you focus on. He applies himself to you and with you to support you. And so it could be your heights of career, heights of relationship, heights of home and real estate success, especially because that's angular to the first house. So this is a story for the Aries rising and secondarily sun and moon. And it's a must know, because you only get this story every 12 years. So last time it happened was way the heck back in 2011 and 12, like kind of overlapping there into I think it was fall of 11 into 2012. So it's a renewed story. And it's back again. It's different than it was last time, of course, for various reasons, but here you go. And I'm only going to do maybe 2 things for each sign, because this is your teaser for the all signs video. But by far the second most important thing you must know as an Aries, without a doubt, is the ingress of the nodes of fate, this north node in particular, Rahu, moving into your sign. Now you're going to feel that in earnest in July, right? Around, I think July 16th, the ingress point, and that's going to be 18 months of the north node expanding you, propelling you to be larger. If it's your sun, it expands your career and purpose. And if it's your moon, it expands your home, your safety, enlarges your sense of emotional range or comfort. But certainly the rising signs, life circumstances regarding you particularly, and you identifying a larger version of yourself beginning in July. But there's a precursor window to this change, expansion, and re-enlargement of you. And the precursor window is an eclipse happening on April the 20th at exactly 29 degrees of Aries. So it's a hybrid eclipse because the nodes are still in Taurus. The North Node is still not quite there, but it is a total eclipse, and Jupiter's there as well, conjunct Jupiter. So you're going to get this kind of Jupiter expansion, growth, or opportunity, maybe new moon, new beginning, energy coming through your sky in April. And it is like kind of harbinger, or a, what do you call it? Like on the edges of something, peripheral or foretaste or foreshadow eclipse of what's to come with all the new eclipses that start in July. Now, there's no eclipses in July. There's a Libra eclipse in the fall, and there's another eclipse in Aries in the spring, but you're going to get the sense of the beginning of this eclipse cycle. So as Rahu moves into the house, North Node moves into the house of you, expanding your identity, expanding your sun and moon, your career and your home and your mother and father stories and stuff like that. This is exciting. There's no doubt about it, but that eclipse is going to tell you something first. So even though it's a little bit later, look at that eclipse, especially like put it this way, maybe a month before the eclipse on April the 20th, add about 6 months after until October. What big opportunity, expansion, growth thing are you grabbing a hold of and feeling lucky with? Even though Jupiter is in the eclipse and he is eclipsed in essence, I still find Jupiter eclipses bring something good as long as Jupiter's not in debility, and he's not in debility here. The other thing I'd say is with the South Node, then conversely moving through your other part of your sky, your significant other house, you mean marriage partners, right? Or business partners, or like somebody that you would like, really significant partners, sometimes it's your audience. So like if you have the capacity that I do as a YouTuber to reach a audience, this is a South Node transit, and you may be pulling away from your marketplace. You may be pulling away from your audience, etc. And, that's more true for the rising sign by far, Aries. Okay, just to be clear, but it can secondarily influence the moon and the sun, Aries people, to kind of pull back from engaging with others. In a marriage situation in particular, it means you pay less attention to your partner, and they may be feeling that you're not paying attention to them. Like what happened? Am I like persona non grata? Or you're just too focused on you? And it's not like there's anything wrong with that. I have to say, it's the movement of the sky. That said, for you, Aries rising in particular, a South Node transit moving through the marriage house for existing marriages could put a lot of strain on your marriage, and it may lead to an end of the marriage. Now, it doesn't always happen that way, but it can. The second thing it can happen here is that if you are single and looking for a committed long-term love, that could be the beginning of that story through the movement of the nodes starting in July, or maybe a bit with that eclipse in April, of a very destined, fated soulmate love story. So those are the two things for you, Aries, to know about, starting in July with the movement of the nodes into your sign. And thank you for listening. If you want to know a whole lot more about what's going to happen for you, it's very, very powerful to expand your prosperity in particular. Wow. And to bring you maybe a love of a lifetime, as well as one of the most exciting times for you with your independent business, creativity, or fertility and children. That's a lot of stuff coming up for you in 23. That's pretty cool and very rare. So if you want to know more about that, you need to check in below and buy the little video of it. One video, 60 minutes, or the whole package. Check the description box below. Let's go ahead, and thanks for listening, and hit that like button and subscribe and all the drill. So let's get going and talk now about Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. Taurus, the story for you is like I'm picking the two most important things that I think you need to know about, rather than give you the whole Monty here, is definitely also like the Aries folk. It's the Jupiter story. Jupiter will be moving into your sign, and that's around the 16th of May. And you will have Jupiter in your sign for a year until May of 24. First of all, it only happens every 12 years. And so last time would have been 2012-13. Number two, it's most excellent, right? Did I say 12, 13? Yeah, that's when it would have been. And it's most excellent for your health, for your body, for your sense of being lucky and prosperous and thriving, of being magnetic, magnanimous, charismatic, and leaderful, or teacherly. Jupiter is a teacher, being able to command, teach, and lead others. It can make you chubbier, and you could put some weight on. You may get pregnant because it's your girth that's expanding, or you could build more muscle in your body, all ways that you get bigger somehow physically, especially for Taurus rising. It also is really good for you in terms of just being able to produce lucky outcomes through your choices and actions in your career with regards to significant business and love partnerships and land and property and real estate as well, the angles to the Jupiter transit. There's little downside to a Jupiter first house transit for you in particular. But I will say with Jupiter coming into proximity to the North Node around May 20th to June 13th, and most exact around the beginning of the month of June, like June 1st, 2nd, this could be, or May 30th, this could be a huge bolt of very expansive luck, wealth, prosperity, success, gratitude, faith, hope, and optimism. I mean, something big is happening here, right? North Node expands what it touches, and Jupiter is a benefic in the house of you and your body and getting expanded. This happens to be more proximate to your sun, moon, or rising sign storylines. Your sun or your moon could be a big lucky break around home, property, moon, security, safety needs, mother, or the sun, maybe about purpose, life purpose, direction, career, ambition. But it is definitely most awesome. And so for you Taurians, what could I say that's negative about it? Nothing, but it really does impact most acutely the Taurus people in the first 10 degrees of Taurus, sun, moon, and rising, but it will impact all Tauruses. It's just too big of an event, especially with the North Node meeting with Jupiter, kind of blast radiusing from the early degrees of Taurus, but expanding out to all of Taurus. And certainly the North Node can bring like a kind of a beautiful, since it hasn't happened since 1929 in Taurus, it won't happen until 1959 or something again, a once in a lifetime golden lucky break opportunity for you as a Taurus. How could you not want that? This is just so incredible. And so I want you to be ready to receive Jupiter, and he will be in your first house until May of 24. And he's doing in April a colliding with Uranus, another bolt of exciting, unexpected, radically left field luck and opportunity coming next year with this as well. You could definitely teach, lead, command, and be in charge of things. And also feel like life has got your back, feel optimistic, feel hopeful. Like, faith is not something that you go to church for when Jupiter's in your first house, right? Faith is an inside job, trust in the universe, expansion, hope, and optimism, subjective well-being, the universe has my back. Good things are happening to me. Things are happening for me, not to me. Sorry. Like, I really swear it feels like my camera is blurry. Okay. Anyway, what else? This is a titanium earring. I only have one of half my earrings that I bought when I was like in my 30s, and I cannot believe I still have it. And I love the rainbow colors that cheered me up. So I thought I'd put it on for us today. Only Taurus, you see, be decking myself, because Taurus is our Venus ruled fashion, cosmetics, beauty, love, art, all that good stuff. Am I talking about my earring? I always sort of slip into the mode of the sign, I swear. But anyway, I would say to you to seize the opportunity, right? Carpe diem, seize the opportunity, make your magic happen. This is your time. This is benefiting your children. As Jupiter will trine the house of kids. It could be very good for fertility if you want to get pregnant as a Taurus sun, moon, but mostly rising. This is opening up the chance for foreign land travel, higher education, bonus points on the game board, super success up there as well. Maybe even getting a book published or an agent if that's a part of your world. Maybe finding yourself going to a new spiritual retreat center, or finding a new spiritual teacher, or finding a new spiritual path even. But whatever it is, it's all super juicy, positive, good stuff. All right, next. What do you need to know most about? Because there's so much I could choose, and it's like hard to say. I'm going to say one thing. The eclipses that have been going through the house of you are stopping, and you will feel the relief in July, and it's gone for 18, 19, 20 years, right? 19 and a half years. So enough jolting you. Yay, eclipses end, relief coming starting in July. The last eclipse that's going to jolt you is, well, when I say jolt you, it sounds heavy, is a partial eclipse in October of 2023. It's not a big deal because it's not that strong. It's October 28th, 2023. It's going to be in the early degrees, around 5 degrees of Taurus. It's going to impact the early degree sun, moon, and rising, with your sun, moon, and rising in the first 10 degrees of Taurus. And so that eclipse in the fall, October, lunar eclipse of 2023 could open up a fullness, a completion, a fruition, some kind of big energy for you, of change. And it could be a change of home, a change of career, a change of relationship status, even at the end of the year into the early part of 24. Now, what I really wanted to talk about was Venus, right? I'm going to be doing the same for Libras. Wow. So Venus is your ruler. She's your gal. She's the ruler of your sign. Normally, she whizzes through a sign or a house and a sign, same thing in whole sign houses. She whizzes through in only like 3 weeks to a month and she's done. She's like, yeah, done with that sign, finished up. Not this year. A rare 4-month plus stay in the sign of Leo. And that's going to be extremely positive for your home, domestic life, property, land, and real estate, relationship to your mother, relationship to your domestic enjoyment of your private downtime in your home. You could beautify, renovate your home. You could get money for your home. You could get money from your home by selling it. You could have a female move into your home. You could have more joy, fun, play, and pleasure and beauty and art in your home. It's gorgeous. And for some of you, there will be a renovation of your home because Mars will join Venus there in June and up to about July 10th. So June up to about July 10th. I have the date right. I better double check. It's on my memory, guys, because I did all these longer videos. Mars goes in to Leo. Yeah. So the Mars story is cooperating with Venus in your property, land, home, and real estate narrative from May 20th to July 10th, and Venus will be there in June. So let's say from June the 5th to July the 10th, a lot of people will be renovating, redesigning, redecorating their homes if you are a Taurus sun, moon, or rising. You can change your home. Mars makes a change of home. Venus makes it a beautiful home. Mars eliminates, you could sell a home. Venus makes it prosperous. So a lot of juice in the real estate place. Now, it is the house of the mother, and you could be enjoying the company of a mother or mother figure in the June, July, August, September. This is June the 5th to October the 8th. It's such a luscious time because Venus is looking up at your career house. She could bless that as well. You may have some reputation and career blessings during that window as she's solidifying things in your private, domestic, hearth, and home life. She does apply to the descendant as she's doing this. And so she also can send some beams of goodness to your marriage partner, your marriage life, your business partners as well. Now, she will retrograde because she always does. That's why she's there for so long. She will retrograde here. And so all planets do eventually look like they're going backwards from our perspective on Earth. And her retrogradation window can look like you going back to certain circumstances that are to do with your family of origin, your childhood home, and childhood memories, things to do with your mom and dad, things to do with old property that you used to own, etc. And this energy of Venus in her retrogradation is happening for you July 22nd, all of us, to September 3rd. You may have females from your past coming to live with you in your home. You may have love in the home that comes back from the past. You may have return to your homeland, a return to your childhood home. These are kinds of things that can happen here. Well, Venus retrogrades July the 22nd to September 3rd. I just saw an image of stripping the wallpaper off you too, like removing the old to removing the new wallpaper you didn't like, or stripping it off to look what was under there originally. It's almost like restoration of a home to its historical qualities, and like taking off the vinyl siding to reveal the cedar or something like that. So it's a very sweet time, and it will simply say June, July, August, September, which is summer in the northern hemisphere, winter in the southern hemisphere. It's going to be a time of great enjoyment and pleasure at home, in your home, and about your home. But it's just a rare transit. It will benefit your career, will activate your marriage house, and sort of send collateral goodness in all directions. And for a lot of you, when Mars gets in there, because he means moving your home sometimes, there will be a move of your home. That's most likely to happen around June the 5th to July the 10th for some Taurus sun, moon, and rising sign people. I know my daughter's a Taurus sun. Her lease is up around that time at the end of May into June. She's probably changing her home, and Venus will bring her a beautiful home, that kind of thing. Anything else I'd say about that? No, these are teasers. Remember, if you want to know a lot more about what's going to happen in 2023, let me tell you, here is a little teaser of some of the juice. You're kind of powering up into a whole new world when it comes to your career. You're just about to step into next year a sense of what you are truly capable of in the house of reputation and career. And you're going to find a taste of your true wealth and power within the scope of your ambitions and success. And this is going to be a once in a lifetime refreshing or freshening up, or whatever you want to call it, of your capabilities in that part of your story. You also will find that you're going to be extremely well resourced financially, or be able to deal with money challenges that have been beleaguered you in a new way, and to turn things around by going back over old money ground and creating something new. This is a turning around in money strife stories and resource stories, and any challenges you've had with your own business enterprise, if that's something you do. This also is going to be a year ahead. I'm just giving you teaser overviews because I want you to get my longer video, where if you've got an addiction or a self-sabotaging habit, you're going to kick it out, especially in the first few months of the year, and no longer go back to that problem. Yeah, get rid of the weed, the vape, the wine, whatever you do that you shouldn't be doing. And there's also some stuff going on here that strongly suggests a kind of a, how would I describe that for you? A movement toward more authentic friendships and groups of connection. You're no longer going to stick with the old just because it felt like, you should or could, or maybe it was safe or something. You don't like change, or Taurus, you're fixed, but there's going to be a kind of paring away, of the wheat from the chaff in your social friendship groups and circles, as you define what kinds of people are worthy of you. And that's this new story emerging. And there's a lot more. You want to know more about it, please consider signing up for the all signs bundle, or buying just your sun or moon or rising sign below. It's more affordable to buy the bundle than to buy all three, sun, moon, and rising. So I'm encouraging people, buy the bundle and give it to your friends and share with your family, make it a stocking stuffer. And also, don't forget, if you're listening in my premiere, hit that like button, and let's get going and talk next about the next sign, which of course is always Gemini, following the Taurus narrative. All right, Gemini, what do we need to tell you about 2023? First of all, I'm going to say, don't forget, I'm giving you 2 to 3 little teaser elements of something that you should know about. And so let's go with that. Let's talk first about the fact that you've been dealing with Mars in your house of you, or crossing over sun and moon, since August of 20, and it's finishing finally in March the 25th. And this means that the part of you that has been conflicted, dealing with inner battles and inner demons, is faced with choices. Gemini, 2 ways to go, and Mars is trying to help you decide. You've been kind of waffling on fences back and forth. You also trying to be decisive, trying to be an action taker, trying to be commanding in your choice making, but Mars will also retrograde for a lot of that time, which then also made you turn around and doubt yourself. So you had a lot of that, especially during the retrogradation of October 30th through to January 12th. Good news was Mars will go direct on January 12th in the house of you, and all of your back and forth negotiations, inner battles, and indecisiveness about what to choose, which direction to go. These are Mars words, what action to take. This is now decisively known by you. By January 12th, you're going forward. And if you had a marriage partner or a significant other in your life, you were gnarly at them, right? You were short-tempered, you were probably argumentative, you didn't suffer fools gladly in clients and audience, in business or love partnership, because you were very Martian. And you may have injured yourself. Can happen with Mars in your first house for the rising Geminis, and also you may have had some inflammatory health problems as well. August through to March, you had to deal with, especially, Mars was inflammation in the body, so autoimmune disorders as well. And you may have had to deal up some surgical procedures as well, because Mars can invite you to surgery, eyes, the physical form, if this is your rising sign. These are secondarily thematic of sun and moon. Mars might, for your sun sign, Gemini, be trying to get you to change or upgrade or make significant shifts in your career. And when it comes to your moon, maybe changes regarding your emotions, your home, etc. Now, that's ending, and that's what I like. I like that it's ending because it's not easy to have a malefic planet going through the house of you for all that time. And now that that's coming to a close, the good news is you can breathe a sigh of relief on the third week of March and let that whole narrative go. And this is just to say things begin to lighten up as Mars goes direct, and better so when he leaves your first house and starts his journey around the zodiac in Cancer through to Sag by the end of the year. So he makes it all the way through by the end of 2023 to your seventh house of marriage. And if any of this conflict you were having with others, where you were like gnarly at your marriage or significant live-in or your significant other, I mean, I will say Mars moving through your seventh house, November 23rd or 4th to the end of the year next year can look like separations and divorces, only if a lot of the first half of that story was the arguing with your partner. Then Mars could like kibosh things at the end of 2023. Not necessarily, but possibly. Okay. And so since we talked about what is getting better, because Mars is getting off of you and out of you, just remember there's still goodness here, right? Mars, January 12th to March 25th, gives you the power to act with great clarity, super passion, super powered decision-making, precision power decision making. Like, you know what you want and you're going to get it, and you're going to go for it with vim and vigor and success. And Mars is going direct from around 8 degrees of Gemini. So if your Gemini sun, moon, or rising is at 8 degrees, you're really feeling this like impulse to go forward with new momentum. So let's say 5 to 11-degree Gemini sun, moon, and rising are really inspired and action taking and powered up and decisive right after January 12th as this new story begins to unfold in your sky. Okay, that's really a lovely story for you. The second thing I think that you really need to pay attention to, more so than anything else, is the movement of the nodes into the square to your sign. This is a big deal, and this is going to impact you for 18 months after. Starts in July. This is the North Node moving into Aries, and it's applying, energetically. Oh, what did I just say? No, retrace my steps. I'm not even going to edit this. I don't have time. Retrace my steps. I still want to say what I'm going to say. The eclipses going through your Aries, starting in July, your Aries 11th house, are going to create turbulence in your money story, because the eclipses through your 11th and 5th house square your money 2nd and 8th. Now, some of that turbulent energy can be good for you because it's bringing changes in how you earn your money. It's bringing changes in how you save, invest, and create chunky money, like all of that chunky money stuff that I call inheritances. And you could find yourself with this new eclipse cycle really, really capable of some sort of incredible financial renovation of your life. And, it doesn't have to be bad. I think my problem with eclipses is that people automatically seize up and think that something horrible is going to happen to them. And that's just not true. It's change. It's waves of destined change. So reframe the story. You're going through a change story in your money, earnings, investments, shared resources, stuff, 8 and 2, continually cardinal to the Aries Libra axis changing. So get ready between July of 23 and the end of 24 to see yourself massively shifting how you deal with the money and prosperity and resources story in your sky. Because the North Node is moving through your 11th house of good spirit, this is definitely something to do with expanding your social influence, your groups of belonging, and your networking, and your even celebrity and fame, if that's something you aspire to. Whereas the South Node through the 5th house takes you away from your children, takes you away from focus on them, or even like just away from them. Also, the South Node through your 5th house in this new eclipse cycle could say any love stories that you have in play before the eclipse cycle could lose and, go down the drain, so to speak, lose their energy. But you could also find as a karmatic. This is like a soulmate is coming through the love house and romance house. It's not a great transit for having children. And so if you are Gemini rising trying to be pregnant during this transit, South Node often means disappointment here. So, I mean, yeah, you could say it's a soulmate baby, but I'm just sort of suggesting it's not a great fertility transit in general. And that starts off to be true for a Gemini rising, most particularly anytime from July of 23 and add 18 months. But I really think it's the square to the money axis. It's a big story here. Sometimes this can also bring inheritances through the 8th house. And if there's somebody you stand to inherit from, probably a Saturnian figure, like an elder, and it won't be like, because Capricorn is the ruler of your 8th, an elder could come into your life. Somebody who like out of your life, who it could be even like an elder friend, an elder parent, grandparent, whatever. So there's a possibility of some eldering, inheritancy, money coming through the sky as a result of the eclipse cycle. Now, there is a possibility of that more strongly, I think, once Saturn is fully, more deeply enmeshed in your 10th house, which will be in 2024, but it could even happen in 2023 for the early born people, like your sun, moon, or Gemini ascendant is in the first 10 degrees of the sign of Gemini. You're more likely to have an inheritance or bequeathment, because I want to see Saturn in that 10th house, activating the 8th. And he's the Lord of time and karma, but also the Lord of your 8th house of inheritance. Okay. Those are your 2 teasers. I think I covered it. I'm sorry for the blooper. My brain is a little offline. I've been working today and now I'm doing this very long video. Thanks for listening. Now there's big things happening next year that you really want to know about. It looks like an incredible amount of journeying, trips, travel, education, and learning. A lot of fun with extended family, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins. But boy, are you busy on the travel front, enjoying that. If you have online businesses, things are taken off for you Geminis next year. Holy, holy rocket ship of goodness as you become better and better at that world or teaching world as well. And there's also some stories going on in your sky that I'm just going to hint at here, where your spiritual life could totally upgrade and you could come into contact with a profound spiritual teacher or a revelation or a new sense of transformation through faith and spiritual attainment. So some of you Gemini people are going to go for a guru or a powerful teacher, but other people will just go for a deep sense of proximity to the divine and a revelation that comes with that. And there's so many other stories happening in your sky, including the possibility of wealth through land, property, and real estate, and expanding your finances and being able to do that through land, property, and real estate, and many other stories. But hey, you want to know more? Get the All Signs video or just buy your sign below. Why the heck not? You won't regret it. I promise you. I tell you everything you need to know about 23. Thanks, guys. I had to move my room because I'm visiting a friend. It just came home. So Gemini, sociable you. I had to change the room and put a green screen on because she might be coming home and walking around behind me, packing for a trip to Hawaii. So anyway, moving on. I think I covered it, Gemini. I was just giving you that teaser of get the whole Monty and get way more detail about the year ahead. Moving on to Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign. So you guys are experiencing, okay, first of all, and let me just cue my chart because I had to wander around. I'm recording. Okay, so you guys have a year ahead, which I think there are going to be 2 main features that we need to talk about. And there's a lot we need to talk about, but these are the ones I think you should be most aware of. Okay, that's where we're going to go. One thing about you guys is that all of the Cancers are very lunar. And that means, you're a lunar being. That's the Lord of your sign. And that means that lunar eclipses and also eclipses, because the sun and moon, new moon eclipse is a solar eclipse, and a lunar eclipse is a full moon. The lunar and solar eclipses, like the eclipses, are lunar events as well as solar, but you're very impacted by them. And it's often not talked about in astrology that you, of all of the signs and the Leo risings as well, especially, are very impacted by eclipse cycles all of the time. They're very a big deal to you. But as a general principle, that's true. But then you add that in 2023, the first of the eclipse cycles in Aries begins in July and lasts for 18 months. And those eclipses begin to square you. Square your sun, square your moon, square your identity. Sun, father, moon, mother. Yes, your mom or dad could have some health challenges. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pretend that's not true. During the time of July of 23 to 2024, the end of the year. In the meantime, this is also just your story, your career sun, your home and security and emotional set points, maybe moon, and your ascendant, your whole life, your body, your identity, your perspective in life, and all of that. And this eclipse cycle wakes up something there in your chart. And it says that you are being pressured by eclipses to change something in your life. And it's coming from a lot of active pressure applying Rahu North Node transit through your 10th house of career, reputation, and status, ambition, and visible action, praxis in the world. You know, yes, you're a student, that's your action in the world. Your career is your action to be a successful student. If you're a mama at home, that's your action to raise your children, be a great mother. And so this story is coming into very acute awareness as a change cycle is pressuring you, particularly from the career point, to make some significant changes to your life. If you're a Cancer rising in particular, this can actually expand your career at the same time, because North Node Rahu is kind of like a reaching, grasping, striving, movement focus point of the chart. You focus on your career and you may be moving into greater levels and powers of amplification, expansion, and success in whatever you think is your career purpose, success, ambition, direction in life. And so that's exciting. And, you know, it's really lovely because before the nodes move there, which starts in July, there is an energy of a Jupiter infused eclipse in April. Now let's go back in time, a little out of order here, but Jupiter starts the year strong, starting December 20th through to May 16th in your career house. This is great for all of you Cancers to expand your reputation and success, maybe to be up leveled to a promotion, maybe for someone into power to love you up, maybe for your boss to give you favors, maybe for you to get your perfect dream new job, or your existing work and career are just expanding and you're lucky and you're successful. Wonderful transit. Sometimes Jupiter will end a career path, but only if you've been on such a wrong path that the sky must reward you with a blessed ending of the drudgery or the bad career direction you've gone in or purpose that you've gone in. But with Jupiter up here, really racing through your 10th house. And he was here before, right? May 11th of 22 through to October the 28th of 22, but he was only in the first 8 degrees and really only impacting career success for the early born Cancer, sun and moon in the first, say, 10 degrees of Cancer. Now Jupiter is going to touch all of the Cancer risings and bless you all with this greater success and expansion in your reputation career zone. Sometimes Jupiter brings weddings if he's up there in the 10th house. So if you're looking to get married or have a wedding or something like that, you could have some wedding bells ringing in your own life or attend a lot of weddings, but maybe more about you. And you could just be very fortunate and very lucky in the career story. And that's happening all the way through from December 20th until May the 16th. And then later on, the nodes are moving into North Node Rahu into your 10th house and continuing the story. But there's an event, there's an eclipse, and the eclipse is happening on April the 20th at 29 degrees of Aries. It's a hybrid eclipse because the node is still stuck in Taurus, where it's been for a year and a half before that, you know, and now there's this, okay, it's time to have a big story, like teaser with Jupiter, 29 degrees in the eclipse, telling you there's an opportunity, a new moon, a new beginning, a total solar eclipse energy. And you don't forget, remember I told you how the eclipses are important to you because you happen to be ruled by like the moon. And so therefore a new moon is the moon and the sun are together with the nodes of fate close enough to cause an eclipse, because the nodes are where the eclipses happen. And so here you are having this like Jupiter infused new beginning in your career house. Now there's debate about whether Jupiter as a benefic on an eclipse is thwarted or benefiting. I would say that it's maybe a bit of both. There could be a bittersweet opportunity, like something, it's an opportunity for you in your career path, but it comes at a cost. Or there, you know, it could be like the boss dies, so you get to take their position. Not just to be gnarly with that, but your boss steps away, your boss is fired, and you get to rise to power. So because, you know, Jupiter eclipse means leader eclipsed, right? Boss eclipsed or person in power eclipsed. So somebody in the workplace could be eclipsed from your life, is what I'm saying, but it benefits you. So the eclipsing of benefic may not be about you. It could be about your boss or an authority figure or a leader or someone who has power over you, or that kind of stuff. And yet you benefit. And that's going to be or a teacher is an eclipse. Like if you're, I don't know what your teacher in your career would be, but, or an eclipse of a teacher benefits you because now you step into the power vacuum that teacher left or that leader left. But anyway, all I can say, good stuff is happening. And that eclipse on April the 29th, total solar eclipse, totality gives it power. It's going to unfold over the 6 months that follow. So it's not just, oh, what's going to happen on April 20th at 29 Aries. No, it's a longer narrative. Now it'll impact a lot of the Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising people because it squares the late degrees of the sign. So anything 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising get more impact from the eclipse. If your Sun and Moon is anywhere between 25 and 29 degrees of Cancer, this could be an eclipse that impacts your father, Sun, Moon, Mother. I just have to say. But there's Jupiter there. So maybe it's a negative and a positive, like your parent is diagnosed with a health problem or but then it turns out in the nick of time. Thank you, Jupiter, Okay. So there you go. Oops. All right. And that's the big story for you by far is that nodal square to your ascendant that begins to open up that stuff. As you move away, South Node moving through your fourth house, you're going to really pay less attention to people in your home. If you live with family or roommates or kids or whatever, pay less attention to those people in your life. You're going to be less connected to your home, less concerned about it. You're ambitiously in the top of the sky, striving for success. You may leave a home. This eclipse cycle starts in July and lasts by the end of 24. Sell a home, release a home, let go of a home, time to move your home, let go of a home. And that story is an 18-month narrative, right? So don't forget, it's, in 2023, the idea of changing a home, right, or moving your home is more likely to impact you directly or acutely, or whatever you want to call it, if your Sun, Moon, and Rising sign is anywhere between, let me give you a range of motion, anywhere between 20 and 29 degrees of Cancer, at least, around that. Okay. So if your rising sign especially is like 20 to 29 degrees, there's a possibility that in the year of 23, you could have a letting go of your home. There is an eclipse down there on October the 20. I should know this because I'm doing a video, right? Hang on. I don't know if I have my eclipse chart handy, but it doesn't really matter the exact date at this point. I'm just telling you that in October, I think it's the 14th of October, there is an eclipse that's happening at 21 degrees of Libra in your fourth house. And so, Sun, Moon, and Rising, especially the rising sign, Cancer's between 18 and 24 degrees, maybe, of the sign of Cancer, are having an eclipse in the fourth house square your ascendant. This can definitely look like, it can look like two things: change of home for sure, or a change in your relationship status if your significant other is involved in the story, like married or business partners or significant others. Okay. But it'll definitely maybe a change of home. And that story continues into 2024 for the Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising, let's say, with Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising in the first 20 degrees of Cancer. So you all get your turn, but it's still an overarching theme in general that lasts until the end of 24, that some of you are changing your home, but boy, are you expanding your career. Now, there's a lot of more stuff besides the Jupiter story and besides the eclipse story in your sky, especially when Jupiter makes you blow up in terms of celebrity fame, great financial gain for your career next year, maybe even expanding your social influence and massively expanding your groups of belonging. And there's also going to be a huge amount of love in your finances next summer, like untoward financial gains and prosperity, and a very rare Venus transit. And you're also receive next year an incredible, powerful shift of energy regarding how you can become quite wealthy. And the beginning of that wealth building begins next year. And because that is a longer video that I touch into in my 2023 All Signs bundle or by the individual videos, check that out below. And by the way, I bet you any money, a lot of you guys, by the time you get to March, have ditched one bad habit, at least one bad addiction, at least. And I'm not even going to tell you why. That will be in the All Signs video. There's so much more going on. And so check it out. And if you're listening to the live stream by buying the All Signs video, you're supporting my career as an astrologer by purchasing the hour-long video. And also, please consider hitting the like button if you're listening in the live stream. Thank you so much. Okay, bye, Cancer. Enjoy 2023. Moving on to Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. You guys, it's getting dark here. So I'm going to finish this video. It's almost 4 o'clock, December 11th in Vancouver. It'll be pitch black by the time I'm done. I keep trying to draw this little light to me over here, but it's not very big. Oh my goodness, it just dropped stuff on the floor. And now I look like I'm all pink and glowy. Okay, let's talk. Oh, that's a terrible color light. All right, let's get going. Leo. See, only Leo, the diva, cares about the lighting. I always fall into the energy of the sign. I just ate some chocolate. You can't make this stuff up. Just took a break and paused when I was talking to you Cancers to eat chocolate. Comfort food. Okay. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. In earnest, let's get going. There's so much going on next year. And it's always hard to pick the teaser best 2 things or 3 things to tell you about. It really is. But I'm drawn right away to talk about the fact that Venus is going to do a rare 4-month stay in your sign from June the 5th to October the 8th, therefore amplifying your sun, career success, moon, comfort, home, and home successes, things to do with land and property, maybe, and your identity. You are personally benefiting from this benefic in the sign of your ascendant. Now, this is a rare transit. Venus is normally whizzing through your sign every year for 3 or 4 weeks. This is not normal. This is going to give you a sustained time of fortunate experience of being lucky, because Venus is one of the benefics. Also more beautiful, more friendly, more popular, more charismatic, a charm offensive you are, more beautiful. It's perfect time for choosing plastic surgeries or cosmetic procedures, changing your wardrobe, upgrading your appearance in any way. But you're also kind of like being able to radiate the Venus story through your very just to radiate the Venus story through your identity so you can become incredibly popular. And if being popular with anything, your clients, your audience, your friends matters to you, like you want to be popular, boy, do you have popularity. And you can capitalize on it by doing something, promoting, sharing, persuading, seducing something into the world. And you're going to win the day because you are literally unstoppably charming and charismatic and popular and beautiful and friendly and lovable. Sometimes a Venus transit just in general makes us love ourselves more, but you will be loved more as well because of this radiant Venusian dispensation that you are able to emit into the world as it shines through your sun, with your moon, and through your identity on the ascendant. With Venus here as well, this can be a time in which what you wish and desire, like Venus is like, what do you want? What do you desire? What is the thing that you yearn to have that brings you pleasure and joy? And you're going to be able to really deepen into that. Like ask yourself that, not even like a therapeutically way, but she will retrograde here. That's why. And that's going to lead you to July 22nd to September the 3rd, to deepen your values around pleasure and joy, to really ask yourself what is worth your time and effort and attention in life. And is it really as valuable and enjoyable and joy fulfilling as all of that? So there's that kind of more quality of deepening into how your Venus story really works for you. And with Venus in this part of you, she's very entitled, right? Venus is a diva anyway, but put her in Leo and she's like a queen, right? You're a diva queenhood archetype and you're really powerful. But when Venus is going through this part of your sky, she does connect to the 3rd house, which is her kingdom, and applying sextile to your 3rd house. This can really help you over those June, July, August, September months to fortify things to do with siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, connections to those people, childhood friends, deeper connections or opportunities for deeply pleasurable and enjoyable travel and learning, skills-based learning. And at the same time, you have her as the Lord of your 10th house, therefore from a square position over her shoulder in a inferior square, still blessing your career space as you juicily get more radiantly persuasive. So you can take this charm offense and apply it to success in your career. June, July, August, September, into October. And add to that, this is your second big story that you must know about, Jupiter ingressing in May into your career space. Now, don't forget, now Jupiter is going to connect with that Venus charm offense, right? June, July, August, September, but Jupiter is up there beginning in May. So now Jupiter and Venus are in it, the cahoots to help you expand, grow, big and large, succeed in your visible career. The world is paying attention. People are noticing you. You are a big deal. And Venus makes it easy to be popular and charming and lovable. And Jupiter says, and let's keep growing bigger, 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 bigger in your visible career purpose space or reputation space. So for sometimes, Jupiter up here is a wedding or something. And Venus is you getting all beautified for your wedding. It could be true for some Leos that you're planning a wedding in 2023, or it's happening, especially with Venus in that part of your sky until October. So it could mean anytime in June through to October 8th, there could be wedding bells ringing in some of you Leo skies, in you Leo people's sky story, especially when Saturn has already left the oppressive, difficult energy of your 7th house in March, and you're no longer feeling squashed by Saturnian heaviness in your significant other relationship. It could liberate you guys to tie the knot if you have somebody in your sky like that. So that's an exciting story. So we talked about the Venus story, and then we got the Jupiter story. Now, a little bit more depth on the Jupiter story. When Jupiter enters into your 12th house, it only happens, your 10th house, it only happens every 12 years. So you're going to have to go all the way back in time, like to 2012 and 13 for the last time this happened. And expand your career, expand your ambition and success in the world. But also the other element of this is that he's going to meet up with the North Node Rahu, who expands Jupiter and makes Jupiter's luck, growth, prosperity, and success even bigger, right? Because what happens is it blows Jupiter up even larger. And so the North Node is traveling through the sign of Taurus at the very tail end of its journey that started in January of 2022. And while it's finishing that up, it's going to meet in the early degrees of Taurus with Jupiter between May the 20th and about June the 13th, with a special focus around May 30th to June the 3rd or so. This will be a very big opportunity in your career zone, a very big reputation upgrade. Now, because it's reputation status, like I'm married, I'm single, it could be that for some of you, that's a wedding time or planning a wedding or announcing a wedding. But all said and done, this is a Jupiter benefic planet getting enlarged and blown up larger by the North Node of fate. And so it's an exciting, expansive, beautiful career and reputation time between May the 20th next year and around June the 13th. And of course, with Venus in the house of you starting on June the 5th, there's a lot of energy that even amplifies some of that goodness June the 5th until around June the 13th as well. Preceding that, even she will be in your 12th house in a sextile to the career space and could bring you prosperity from foreign lands or backroom deals and negotiations with females that lead to greater success and prosperity in your career. That's all happening, yes, courtesy of Jupiter. And again, a lot of the juice is like the last week of May and the first week of June. So get ready, get set, get going. I'm looking forward to telling you more about next year. If you want to buy my all signs bundle, check it below. You can learn about your sun, moon, and rising, or just buy your rising sign Leo or sun Leo or moon Leo, up to you. It's cheaper to get the bundle. And if you want to know more about what's ahead for you in the 1 hour video, a teaser would be a couple of thoughts is our huge action going on here in your sky next year, and where you're going to experience a kind of what's the word I want? Think of the right word, Laura, your brain's all I'm going to say. You're going to experience a kind of power, an ability to connect to power, to people in great power, to command the attention of people in power in a way you've never had in your life before. Suddenly the powerful, rich and famous could orbit you, or just powerful people become connected to you. That's going to happen next year. And I'll tell you when and how and why. You're going to also experience the possibility of a, no, what would I call it? Of a kind of a late blooming ability to become extremely creative and rise in your muse driven powers, while at the same time experiencing a change later next year in your home that's quite significant, and a promise of a bigger and better and more beautiful home coming through your sky next year as well. Some of those details are in my all signs video. I hope they are anyway, because of course I record them separately from this, but I'm just looking at the chart right now and telling you these are some highlights of next year. And anything else I want to say? Nope. I think that's it. Well, the eclipse cycle, but that's in the video. It tells me all about how the eclipses are going to change your world and rock your world when it comes to the themes of international foreign lands, book publishing, higher education, spirituality and faith, etc. Okay, that's it. Leo, don't forget to like and subscribe, join my community if you like, check out all my description box, take a class with me. If you're watching the premiere, once again, hit the like button. I'll be in the dark when I get done, which is going to be kind of eerie, because I notice when it gets dark that I look weird. Moving on. I'm enough with my Venus, my entitled Leo stories. We're moving on. All right, Virgo. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign people. So for you, this is going to be, first of all, yeah, okay, let me just start off. I think one of the big stories that I'm starting with you is has to do with your ruler, Mercury. I mean, Mercury is the person who's dominantly working you. He's your lord of the chart ruler, helmsman, lord of the chart, etc. For all of the Virgo risings, okay, more particularly, and sun and moon secondarily, you kind of collaterally connected to mercurial stories. Now, Mercury does not normally stay in a sign as long as he will next year in the earth signs. It has to do with a contained retrogradation in the earth signs that's going to benefit you tremendously. And I hinted at this in the beginning of my first part of the video, that you guys are getting the most benefit from this, because Virgo particularly, but earth signs in general. So Mercury will spend like approximately 2 months in Virgo and Capricorn and Taurus earth signs. And this is all in a flowing trine relationship to the house of your identity, and therefore benefiting you tremendously in your wealth, your prosperity, and your health. And so this is going to be an improvement in all of those areas of your life. To begin the year, you start off with Mercury in the sign of Capricorn, which is extraordinarily blessed if you have to make pronounced advancements in your creativity, your fertility, your romance, and your sex life and your love life, or your own business enterprise if you have your own business, you're entrepreneurial. And he really does start off in Capricorn before the year begins. This is going to be around December 6th, doesn't finish until February 10th. A whole bunch of focus, including a going back over old ground. For some of you, former lovers and romantic partners will come out of the woodwork, or out of touch children will connect with you by phone or email or something like that in the retrogradation period of December December 29th to January 18th. Then moving into the Taurus story that happens in the summertime. Oh la la. This is the Taurus story or the Virgo story? Where am I? Yeah, the Taurus story. Still not summertime yet. I apologize. The Taurus story is happening April the 3rd to June 11th as Mercury goes through your 9th house. Now, if you're a Virgo rising and foreign land, shores, travel, visas, passports, adventures in foreign lands, Mercury is a patron of foreign travelers or travel safety patron to pilgrimages and foreign travel and in the ancient world. And this foreign lands house is foreign travel. So Mercury's blessing you here April 3rd to June the 11th. For a lot of you Virgos, you're going to go off and gallivant into a foreign land and have some journeys. But if you're in an academic, higher educational setting, this is a lot of focus to support you in your goals and ambitions, and even go back and redo a course maybe that you might need to redo April 21st to May 14th, because that's when he retrogrades. But in general, he's solidifying your gains in your career, in your student house of higher education, in your travel to foreign lands, but last but not least, court and legal affairs that involve judges. Because Mercury is a negotiating god, the art of the deal, and signing on the dotted line. And this is going to be a long stay from April 3rd to June 11th. You may be dealing with legal affairs with this transit, but Mercury is your ally and supports you to succeed as he moves through Taurus and gives you what he can to prevent you from having any negative consequences, but only the most positive in this part of your sky. And he'll get some backup support in terms of legal matters from Jupiter that'll be kicking in mid-May. Well, he's still there till June 11th. So mid-May to June 11th, you're going to have a really extensive support for positive developments and luck academically, foreign lands and travel wise, and connected to book publishing, and connected to deal making, and connected to courts. And the third story, and some of this is in your all signs, the deeper bundle, but I'll go into a lot longer talk about it than I am here. But the best, saving the best for last. What about the fact that you're going to have Mercury in the house of you, traveling through your body or over your sun or your moon? That's going to happen for you in a long stay that's quite rare, this elemental earth year, July the 28th to October 5th. Now, this makes you a very capable writer, messenger, communicator on steroids. Whether you're writing or speaking, it doesn't really matter. This means that in July 28th to October 5th, the messages that you have to give out to the world are going to be very impactful. It means as well that anything you need to do to improve your health, he's going to boil it up to mercurial support, which would be learning, study, knowledge, messages or phone calls or emails to support your body from other people, who knows. And then lastly, he does retrograde, which brings him close to Earth. And that's August 23rd to September 15th in the sign of you. This makes you magical. It amplifies your personal benefit from synchronicity. It makes you maybe go back over some old ideas in your life about what you thought you wanted and reassess that. But it is a powerful support transit in the sky for you. And long story short, the whole thing improves your health, improves your love life, improves your fertility and romance, improves your academics and foreign lands and independent business and courts and legal affairs, etc. So a big Earth trine. One thing I want to go back and say about Mercury in your ninth house of courts, I should have mentioned it. The ninth house is a wealth house in the sense that it's a Lakshmi house in the ancient Indian tradition. And so wealth and prosperity can be found as well as luck. And, possibly the court stuff that I mentioned for some of you, Virgos, between April the 3rd to June 11th has to do with prosperity money stories. And it could come from a father figure, that kind of thing. It is the Vedic house of the father. Even if it's just your father or a father patriarchal figure is dispensing money luck stories or money at you. And yet with Mercury up here, court cases could happen or legal affairs or, but things could go down up there as well, like a bequeathment thing or something. Okay, so that's the big story, the elemental earth year. That's your teaser. But I guess I should add something else because I probably didn't go long enough for you, and I'll get totally hammered for keeping yours shorter than it should be. And I'd say as well, the next big story that you must be aware of that really benefits you the most is, drum roll, please. There's so many stories. It's hard to choose, but it's the bequeathment transit, the chunky money transit, Jupiter moving through Aries entirely between December 20th and May 16th, when he only tiptoed into the first 8 degrees in May to, the end of October last year, is a good thing because it will bring you big chunky money opportunity, a tax rebate, a grant, a stipend, a stock that takes off, a bequeathment, an inheritance. Your spousal money takes off, your shared resources, your business partner monies. I try to think of all the ways you get the dream loan. You know what I mean? You're leveraging and harnessing other people's money. This is not your paycheck. This is not your salary. Sometimes Jupiter in the 8th house brings money through selling property. Okay, or legacy wealth. And this is a big story because you could only get this legacy wealth, inheritance money, or this kind of chunky money love in the Jupiter timeframe of moving through your 8th house once every 12 years. You might want to go back to think about, what was going on in your life back in 2011 and 12 when this happened. For example, my daughter's a Virgo rising. She did get an inheritance. She was given money from the passing of her grandmother. And so there was a bequeathment in my Virgo rising daughter's life the last time Jupiter moved through her 8th house. This stuff does work. Okay. She got a ring and some cash, basically. And so you may find that this is back, Virgos, that there's some sort of way that if you have elders in the family, bequeathments can happen. And if it's not that, then again, as I said, so many ways chunky money could come to you. You know, a universe can surprise you here. And certainly with an elemental earth here for your Mercury travels, your Lord of your sign is an earth. Earth is resources, prosperity, material wealth, and things, and health and things like that. So that's the second story for you. I'm doing 2 for every sign on average. You want to know more? The sky holds a huge relief from career and life purpose to decision next year. It's going to open up an ability for you to connect more deeply to your soul and operate on a deeper spiritual plane of trust in the universe and get rid of any of your addictions, especially your addictions. Time to end them, especially next summer. I can tell you why and when exactly. And you may also find that foreign lands and foreign travel to foreign shores, even moving to a foreign shore for some of you, could be in the air in 2023, as well as incredible success in academics, if that's something that you're thinking is important to you, like studying, getting accepted at a university, graduating with honors, or anything like that. And there's so many other sky stories I could focus on, including the eclipses, but that's all in my all signs video. So check it out. Go get your sun, moon, and rising. This is your teaser for the bigger, longer 1-hour video that is available to you down below in my description box for a very, very fair price. Don't forget, like my channel, check my stuff out. And if you're watching in the premiere, you know the drill. Hit the like button because it helps me. Yeah, it does help me grow. Libra, sun, moon, and rising. I'll be pitch black by the time we get done. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. What happens here in 2023 that I think is the most important thing? I'm going to focus on what I did for the Tauruses. I love that fact that Venus is going to spend 4 months in one place, and she is your chart ruler, your, the Lord of your first house. Having Venus in one place, a benefic for that long, especially if you're a night baby, because she favors the night babies born at the night in the night, but nonetheless, having her in Leo is going to be so positive because this is an auspicious place. It's a house of good spirit. It brings pennies from heaven, windfalls, karmic rewards, fairy godmother vibe. She's like a fairy godmother bringing you blessings, celebrity fame. Yes. More social influence. Yes. Larger groups of belonging that you enjoy. Yes. New female friends. Yes. Great financial gains from your career. Yes. Women who benefit you as allies and benefactors. Yes. Oh, what can we say? It's just so good. So if you are looking for amazing June, July, August, September, really, so it's June the 5th, I think, to October the 8th, time of your life of this kind of up level of your reputation, of your fame, of your celebrity, of your finances, of women supporting you, it's incredibly powerful. And all the time that she's up there in your 11th house of good spirit, she's sextiling your ascendant, making you very happy, good for your health, good for your prosperity, good for your body, good for so many things. And she'll be joined by Mars at one point, which could bring a love affair into your life next June, July, where like anytime from June the 5th to July the 10th, when she's up there with Mars, where you could, well, no, that's not when, when does Mars get up there? Mars gets up there on May the 10th to July the 10th. Okay. So May 20th to July the 10th, and Venus is up there too. So anytime in that point, a sizzling hot, really big romance can emerge with a friend. So when you thought that person was just a friend or a friend with a benefit, or not even that, or a friend introduces you to someone, or you meet somebody in a social group setting, and it is like a love story, right? So the love stories for single Libras can happen in the summer, mostly between May 20th. Well, not even. That's why I knew I had to hesitate. Mars is there May 20th, but Venus doesn't get there till June. So like between June 5th and July 10th, a lot of Libras are going to, rising especially, could experience a brand new love story. Okay. Now, if you want to deepen the love that with the one you're with, it could be that you and the one you're with are having the time of your life because you're deepening the love by being in social environments and playful and joyful social gatherings and hanging out with friends. So that could all be that as well. But it is a big deal. And because this is a pennies from heaven windfall house, and Venus is a money goddess, and she's a ruler of your eighth house of inheritance, the ruler of your eighth house of bequeathments, the eighth house of stock investments, the eighth house of chunky money coming through tax rebates or mortgages or just your spouse's money. Even there's definitely some money stuff coming for you out of the chunky money house as she continually squares the eighth house from the 11th house. So there is some big upticks in your finances, royalty income, passive income, stock investments. I got the hiccups, sorry. You're taking off. Like, you're doing it. I'm excited. So I can't say anything negative about it because it's just so positive. I just think you're just like rocking this kind of financial gain up here next summer. And I think for some of you, there's a possibility that this can look like a friend, like especially a woman bequeathing you, not because she's dead, but some kind of favor, they can really enhance your financial gain in the long run. Or who knows, even giving you a stock tip or something. Also, Libra, the other big story is the eclipses. And there's more stories, but this is the two I'm going to give you today. South Node eclipse cycle is going to start to move through the house of you. Angular eclipses for all of the cardinal signs that I talked about earlier. You're getting some of this energy. South Node through the house of you is to start up beginning in July, to be more cautious around your health and take care of your body in the July to the end of 23 timeframe. Especially for you Libra rising people in the 20 to 29 degrees of Libra or sun and moon. It could be more about the health and wellness of a father or mother figure if your sun and moon is in the last 20 to 29 degrees of Libra. But on the main whole of that, there's a sense of a spiritual awakening that can come with a South Node transit through the house of the self. And therefore you can deepen in your spirituality and your awareness of the divine and connect to God and let go and surrender and move into equanimity and peace. Yet at the same time, you have a huge focus in your seventh house as a North Node Rahu expands that, bringing you destined new love stories if you're single, expanding the bounds of your marriage and growing it into a larger form if you're with someone, or expanding your reach with your audience, your marketplace, and your clients, where you're putting something into that world and it's going to take off. It's going to do really well. You may neglect your body and your health because you're so focused on your clients and your audience. So be careful. Really, like that's why Rahu could have you neglect your body and your health. So you need to pay attention to the balance point here between you and other, self and other, because you're definitely focused a lot on the other. Now, hopefully it's not because your other is like a significant other's high maintenance during that time. Because there's the call of the North Node transit in existing marriages and love relationships to try to expand, like, let's put it this way, the metaphor is you need a new pot. For the plant of the marriage has gotten too big for the pot. You need to grow a bigger space for the relationship, And with an eclipse in that seventh house as well, the first eclipse happening in this part of your sky, you're looking at it like it's a partial eclipse. I mean, I want to qualify that. I'm being qualifying here. And it's a hybrid. There is an eclipse here in April, so I'll have to tell you about it, but it's not the full Monty yet because the node is still in the sign of Taurus, yet it is a total solar eclipse that's close to the node because it's at 29 degrees of tropical Aries. So it's with Jupiter. Now, I'm going to be really clear. If there's a gnarly relationship that's not working for you, business or love, a Jupiter infused solar eclipse that 29 Libra can end the relationship. And this is really true if your descendant is between 25 to 29 of Libra. Maybe you're likely to feel like there's a potential ending in a relationship and significant relationship, business or love. But if that doesn't happen, then it could also be a new beginning, a renewal of a vow, a beginning of a new direction in an existing love or business relationship. And that eclipse with the Jupiter element can bring a bittersweet quality, like an opportunity with an edge, you know what I mean? Like, because Jupiter's being eclipsed, but he's a benefic, and so what kind of business, legal, contractual, marriage, even customer client opportunity may emerge. For some of you Libras, on the eclipse of the 29th, you could feel that eclipse anytime through the beginning of April, add 6 months after. So it's not just a one and done, but there's this big beginning of the rustling of change on the 7th house axis. Now, there's a lot more to tell you about next year, like a lot more. I would go into it, but I want to tease you to buy my all signs package. And I'll just tease you with a teaser would be, you're moving into an incredibly new potential power around entrepreneurship, if that's something you wish to do, as well as your ability to connect to a powerful force of the muse and creativity within you, or to regenerate your relationship with your children, or to have life-changing romances, just as one example of some of the incredible power you're able to harness, as well as work your ass off in a sustained manner to make your dreams come true professionally. Just two teasers for what more can come next year, but I'll tell you how and why that is true. And the only way you're going to know that is to sign up for your sign or get the all signs bundle. All right. Thanks for listening, Libra. Let's keep going. How dark is it? Because I'm looking at my screen. I am so dark, guys. I wonder if I should turn another light on. Can you even see me? That's pink. That looks really weird. Do you need to see me? I started this video off in a bright light, and I'm ending like, it got to laugh because I'm going to the darker signs, right? Like we're, now moving into the winter season signs, and my light is fading. And okay, what can you do? I mean, you can't do anything. And just what it is. I think this is going to be a 3-hour video, which is I did not intend to do that. But anyway, I'm definitely giving a lot of value. So please like my channel and hit the bell for notifications, and subscribe, and check my description box and buy my all signs deep dive videos as well. Thank you. All right. So moving forward to the next sign, I feel like I'll be here for another hour at this rate. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. Best thing that ever happened to you is the eclipses are ending in 2023 and leaving your sign. And it's been a hard slog and a very challenging time for your health, for your mental health, your emotional health, sense of disappointment in life, a sense of ennui may have happened starting in January of 22, and it comes to a close in July of 23. That was that South Node transit through the house of you over your ascendant, of course, influencing your sun and moon. So maybe father or mother having also difficulties in their life during this time. That will not be true after July. And you're going to open into a relief and a sense of no longer being plagued by eclipses. So sometimes the good news is what's not going to be there. And the new eclipse cycle is very subtle, where it can improve your work life and your health as well, and make you focus on your health. It's not going to be work and health wise. It's not going to be the most game-changing cycle for you at all. So there's less intensity and less ennui and less difficulty, and especially with health. And when I say health, the South Node through the house of the body could have been mental health too. And, just feeling emotionally drained because you're very emo, you're a water sign, feeling like something is just off in your life. And, I find with Scorpios, you guys are so powerfully soulful and deep. And this is a soulful transit because the South Node Rahu that's finishing up here in July of 23 can bring spiritual awareness as you go into surrender, let go, let God, equanimity. And maybe some of your life has been about that, which is its own journey. And it's not always easy. I think that's important to know that that's over. And that's what I wanted to tell you. The second thing I want you to know that is just so delicious is how successful you're going to be in your career next summer. June, July, August, September, October. That's when Venus will spend 4 months up there in a very rare long stay in Leo. This is a time when your reputation and your career success will advance with great fortune and luck. You'll get promotions and raises, and you will also be very popular in the work and career space, very likable and liked by others. And favors and perks and bonuses and advancements can all happen. And if you're looking for work, June, July, August, September into October 8th, you'll get it. You'll be favored by Venus in your 10th house. Venus up here means that people in power, particularly females, will benefit you significantly and look toward that time of great glory and super ease in your sky in the summer of next year. And also Venus does the star point here. She Kazimis in your career house, and she's going to reset a button here in the month of August, starting on the 13th. And I go into a lot more detail about the Kazimi in my all signs videos or my bundle or whatever, but all said and done, she's going to bless you from about August 13th and approximately 9 months later in terms of career success and new starts and fresh beginnings and new momentum in a career. Certainly with the Cazimi here, you might change your job, change your career, but if you do, it's all for the good and you go up, up, up another level. And if you're going to change your job or career, I'd say that with Mars up there as well, May 20th to about July 10th, that could be when you cut away from one career, but then Venus steps in really quickly. And in the weeks and months after that, just starts to show you, hey, you ain't seen nothing yet. You thought that was a job that was important or a career path that was important. We're not doing that anymore. Venus can bring celebrations, and this is a house of weddings sometimes. So again, another benefit of Venus up here for some Scorpio rising people, especially, is going to be a wedding. It could be your wedding or it could be other people's weddings, but maybe June, July, August, September, wedding bells are ringing in your sky. Both Jupiter and Venus coming through 10th house placements can bring those kinds of events. Jupiter for the legalese of it and Venus for the celebration. So yay you. The other thing I'd say to you, just as a teaser, because I want you to buy my package, of course, is that if you have had any like sluggish problems with real estate where you wanted to buy or rent or sell and nothing was working, that's all over with starting in March. It has to do with Saturn, but I go into more depth about how that works in the all signs video, and also, or the bundle or your own sign. And also you get a lot of benefit from the movement next year, or energetic shift anyway, let's put it that way, of Mars finally leaving a place of difficulty for you where he was from August 20th to March the 25th, and you're going to lighten up about money stories, but also there may be a possibility of a bequeathment story showing up in your life before the end of March because of what that Mars story was doing in your sky. Okay. Oh, there's so much I could tell you, but I see a lot of you Scorpios getting into significant relationships that are really powerful and beautiful. And also maybe even for some of you, existing relationships, upgrading from dating to marriage, from dating to moving in, from moving into engaged, from engaged to marriage. There's a lot of Scorpio stuff, but that's some of the highlights of next year. All the details of how and when you want to listen to it, buy the bundle or get your sign. Stuff is below. If you're listening in the live, hit the like button. Let's keep going. I hope I'm giving everybody equal time per the sign, but I realize it'll be black before I finish, and I need not to be talking to you in a pitch black room. Get very practical. I'm blurry. It's dark. All right. You know what I'm saying? This is so weird. Oh my God. I do have a lighting kit, but it's in storage and I haven't moved to my new place. So Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising. Okay. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 more to go. For Sagittarius people, the big story, the teaser that I want you to have in this video today is that you're going to experience the, I'm trying to choose on the fly what to tell you. This is important. I'm pausing that I make sure I do you justice here. What is the thing to know, the thing to know. I know, I got it. Oh, all right. So, there's something going on where you're very likely to experience this dramatic expansion with the new eclipse cycle in Aries moving through your 5th house of things to do with romance, children, fertility, pregnancy, independent business enterprise, and love. And this new North Node eclipse cycle that starts in earnest in July through your 5th house of all of those things, okay, is also preceded by Jupiter starting on December 20th through to May the 16th, moving through that same house. So Jupiter is paving the way. This is a fertility transit. If you are a man or woman, it doesn't matter. You or your partner could get pregnant. It's very classic. Jupiter was here last year from May 11th to October 28th, but only in the first 8 degrees. So pregnancy, fertility, creativity, independent business success, money, luck, all had maybe even possible romantic new beginnings for Sagittarius rising, secondarily sun and moon, but only for those early borns in the first 10 degrees of Sag, or those degrees, sun, moon, and rising. But this year, everybody gets the full Monty. So everybody can get pregnant. Everyone gets into new romance. Everybody gets inspired by the muse. Everybody starts their own business. Okay, so that's happening in the first 5.5 months of 2023. And then shortly after that, the North Node moves in there in July and continues expanding that story. More pregnancy, more baby, more fertility, more muse, more inspiration, more love, more romance, more fun, more joy, more play, more pleasure. more enthusiasm for life, more innocence, it's like a wonderful transit in the first 5 months of 23, but then July onward with the North Node into the end of 24. You're really focused on creativity and the muses as well, because Jupiter and then the North Node say the same thing. If you're a Sag with a creative bent, an artistic, inspirational, muse-driven side of you, then this will create a huge intensity. You could get very involved in your artistic and creative endeavors as well. Now, this is also a house where you definitely could expand, Jupiter, your romantic life. Now, that can mean like more than one partner. Sometimes when Jupiter comes through here, we get into like, polyamory or something. It has to be other chart indicators, but just saying. Also, Sagittarius, there's an eclipse in April, on April the 20th at 29 degrees, and it's conjunct Jupiter in your 5th house. So this is going to be a very exciting new beginning, new moon, total solar eclipse with some kind of bittersweet opportunity, and eclipse Jupiter, but he still brings opportunity for you, your children, your relationship to your children, for fertility and pregnancy, and for romance. So like, it's hard to say where the Jupiter being eclipsed in the eclipse means that maybe the opportunity, luck, and beneficence is less than it should be. But on the other hand, it's still in a positive, lucky house. And it's also one of the more positive houses. It's one of the Lakshmi houses for wealth and prosperity and goodness and nourishment and luck. So that is houses 1, 5, and 9. And so you've got this kind of super auspicious house where this eclipse is happening. It just happens to involve an eclipse to Jupiter. So it could be like opportunity with, a side that's challenging, but at the end of the day, it's also positive. And I'm not sure what to make about that. Like, I'll give you an example for fertility. I don't want to worry you, but it could be like, I don't know. I shouldn't say anything, because with the Jupiter eclipse, it could be like the opportunity for fertility is there, and then but so I don't know. Your IVF doesn't take on the first round, or it takes, and then there's there's 2 babies in there and one doesn't go all the way or something, but you still have a baby left over. That sounds really harsh. I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't be saying it that way, but I'm just trying to say that Jupiter brings the opportunity, but he's also eclipsed. So there's a downside. But if you want to have children, and you and your partner want to have children, and Jupiter is moving through that 5th house, it's ideal for conception and for the pregnancy itself. So that's happening in the first 5.5 months of 23, starting on December 20th. All right. It's going to be a red light video. I feel like I'm in like the red light district or something. If you want to buy my all signs. Oh, is that the only thing I'm going to tell you? Or is there anything else? Let me look. Anything else? I touched on Jupiter in the 5th, talked about the eclipse there. I talked about the new eclipse cycle moving through there. It's a south node on the other end in Libra, especially with an eclipse in the fall in October in Libra. There's a chance that you're losing friendship groups and circles. You're moving away from them. Now, sometimes it's literal. They move away, or you change your location, and you don't live near the old people you knew. So there's a loss of an ending, a releasing, and a separating maybe, and a less inclined to hang out with those old friends, pairing away of the old friends, maybe even some of the groups you used to belong to no longer fit for you. And the great gains from your career that you were so ambitious about for years no longer apply, and you're not worried about making a ton of money financially and succeeding and gangbustering in your career thing. Because a lot of you have a teaser for the longer videos, a lot of action to do with foreign lands and shores that is very auspicious next year, if not legal affairs and courts as well on your side, as well as you are super powering up beyond all measure in your ability to actualize some of your deepest wishes and dreams around finding a true home and finding your homeland that really belongs to you. We'll talk more about all of that, when and how, when you check out my video. It's for your sign that's 60 minutes long, and how to buy your sign video, sun, moon, or the bundle, and give a stocking stuffer to everyone for Christmas is in the description box below this video already. And so you can find all the information you need for that. All right, Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. The story of the century for you is Pluto. Pluto in your house of you since 2008. You have been intensified. You have been powerful. You have been wealthy, and then you've been poor. You've been transformed. You've been deep. You've been faced death squarely. You've lost people you love. You've befriended death. You've learned what power is and what power isn't. You've learned where you are powerless and powerful. This has been your journey, and it started in 2008, and it's closing out in 24. But the teaser of the end of that is March the 23rd to June the June the 11th. And this is the teaser of the end of the Pluto story for all Capricorn rising and sun and moon. Now, if it's your sun and moon, this is the same story, but applying maybe to your career, purpose, or father, sun, moon, mother, home, and things to do with your emotional comfort and safety needs. Okay. But it's ending. And it's the first taste of freedom from this intensity. So you're going to really appreciate the feeling of March 23rd to June 11th. Pluto is no longer all over you. And you will have Pluto moving through the second house, which can be an incredible bonus points for your wealth. Some of you Capricorns will experience over the 20 years that follow, especially in 24 onward, this increasing power financially in your resources and the management of your resources. And it can be a great wealth transit, as well as powering up your voice, vocation, calling, and your way of dealing with career ambition and goals. But that's not quite here yet, right? Like the full Monty of the Pluto through the second. So your teaser energy is freedom from having the intensity in the house of you. Now, it's if you're a Capricorn, sun, moon, or rising in the early Capricorn degrees, I like the first 5 degrees, you get the most influence of this early movement of Pluto, the first foretaste of it, into your second house. Now, death is Pluto's thing, and death in Vedic astrology, the family of origin, family you grew up with, people are second house. So there could be a death in some family of origin, family member. It could include maybe a sibling, especially because Venus goes into the house of siblings, which is an illness of a sibling. So some of you may be dealing with that as well in the March to June timeframe. On the other hand, it would be an opportunity time for greater wealth. And so no matter what degree your Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising is between March 23rd and June the 11th, keep your eye on the money ball for opportunities to increase your value financially, either through new job or through investments and stuff in the 8th house across the way, stock market investments in particular. It looks like you could be really thriving and prospering next summer with Venus's help. And I'll go into details in another video in your investments and your 401k and your stock market stuff and your all of that, even inheritances as well. One of the things I want to also touch on, but not in any great depth, because I would like to leave that for the, you purchasing my package, is that Saturn is your Lord. He's the ruler of your sign. And whatever he does, you need to watch him in the sky. And he is moving into your 3rd house. Now, he was in your 2nd house, and he's been there since all 2020, 21, 22. And you've been beleaguered financially to be conservative and save your money and you may felt your earnings were curtailed and your money wasn't great, or you had fear and anxiety and worry about money, but you probably were conservatively trying to conserve money and earnings and stuff. Okay. And constraints as well around possessions. You wanted a fancy car, couldn't afford it, wanted a bigger house and couldn't afford it, whatever. But all that Saturn hard ass lessons, taskmaster in your 2nd house is ending. And now you have instead this time of the Saturnian movement through your 3rd, which can indicate a health challenge, or even a passing of a sibling, aunt, uncle, cousin, niece, and nephew even, okay? But it also means that you're going to begin a period of time that lasts for 2.5, 3 years, where Saturn takes the energy of his beingness and helps you actualize dreams, because Neptune's here, and make real tangible dreams come true in your 3rd house of online communication, writing, trips and travel, siblings, skills-based learning. And I go into a lot more detail on how that might look for you Capricorns in my all signs bundle, or in the one individual video for you, because it's going to be a period in the summertime. And it's going to be a very intense window of time in the summer where you could have some incredibly lucky money breaks. And we're talking about like maybe winning a lottery even, like, and I'm going to tell you when and how and why. but teaser, it has to do with Jupiter and your fifth house. So I think in the all signs video, you'll see a little bit about how fortunate you are going to be this summer financially for some reason. And the timing markers of how that unfolds will be in the more detailed video. The last thing I want to say for you Capricorn people, because I know a few Capricorns who are been going through a lot of intensity of recreation of identity. And I want to say that one of the best things going on next year. Oh, let me pause for the dogs. Okay, so sorry, I had to stop for the dog in the dark night of almost 5 o'clock in Vancouver, Canada on December 11th. And Siri's actually tracking me and thinks I'm talking to her. Anyway, I even forgot what I was saying. Let me think about that for a minute. I wanted to say that as Saturn moves through your third house, the other benefit is your health will improve. Okay, because he will be in a waning or like a inferior sextile to your body, and this can really help you stabilize and improve in a steady and steadfast way any challenges you may have experienced during that long Pluto transit through the house of you. And if that is meaningful to you to improve your health, this is one of the best things can happen as Lord Saturn moves through your third, as well as improve your marriage if you're married and your long-term love relationships, if that makes any sense to you. That may be more true in the beginning for the early born 0 to 10 Capricorns, but all Capricorns will experience some health improvements and more stability in marriage and marriage-like relationships over the long haul in the next 3 years. All right. Thanks, Capricorn. Check out the all signs thing. Just spend a few bucks and benefits me as an astrologer to keep myself working in this profession. And you will get a lot more detail play by play for 60 minutes about your year ahead, 2023. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. Let me get my perk on. Perky in the dark. I keep dropping shit on the floor. This is because the cord for the lamp is hitting things on the desk. I don't think this is making it look much better, is it? So unless I was to point this thing at me, okay? All right, I could try that. That'd be kind of fun. Oh, that is so bad. So Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising sign people in your sky. I really am in the red light district in Amsterdam, right? This is totally a red light district look. There's overhead lights, but they're garish. And so if I put them on, it's just going to look like a bad, scary Halloween moment. It'll look like in the bar when they turn the lights on and everyone looks like, oh, like I've been drinking and I'm bleary eyed and I'm red. And yeah, so that's not, and my makeup's all smudged. So we're just not going to do that. You're going to live with the red light look at the end of this video series. Okay. So you're in the premiere and you're laughing at me and all my favorite people, One Wise Lady and Twisted Art Lady and One Rare Bird or whatever. Yeah, remembering all your names, Stephen the Jupiterian and Kelly K. If you're still listening, if you're still here, thanks for being here and thanks for listening to my channel and supporting me so cheerfully all the time. I appreciate all of you. And I know I forgot a lot of people. I apologize. Moving on. Oh, of course, like LA Teller and Misbehaving in Scotland. All right. These are my live premiere people who always show up and cheer me on, and we all watch the videos together. And if that's something you want to do, just come on and subscribe because you'll be notified when I go into my premiere mode and we're all chatting away during the actual rewatching of this video. All right, me, I'm an Aquarius rising. I promise I won't give myself extra length, pretty sure the Aries person in the beginning got like a lot more minutes than the last half of this thing, but don't forget, this is only meant to be a teaser video. And I think I'm going on a 3-hour video. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, what's the big story for you of all the stories? Is Saturn leaving your sign. There's no doubt about it. Like we have been under the gun. Saturn 2020, 21, 22. I joined Sober Sisters and became a sober sister. So I'd stopped drinking. I had health challenges to my body. That's the Saturn through their first house can bring you physical ailments. I had problems with my tailbone. Saturn rules bony structures, and then it flared in SI joint into my nerves and my glutes and stuff like that. So if you've been a Saturn Aquarius rising, especially sun and moon secondarily, Saturn going over your sun and moon is like depression, anxiety, or health challenges for father, son, or a slump in your career, son, or your career feels like a hardship, sun, or your moon, mom health challenges, anxiety, or your home life has felt like a hardship and your domestic security has felt difficult. And I could say I can definitely relate to some of that too. But from my Aquarius rising perspective, it's been about my body. And so it's also been about adulting up. And sometimes, with Aquarius people rising, Saturn makes us feel older, more responsible, more heavy, more shouldering the duties of the world, the burdens of the world. We work our asses off. We're so perseverant. We can become workaholics, isolated, and loners. I was doing all of that. We notice our wrinkles and we're critical. We feel like we're older than we are. Although my gray hair has lessened, that's for sure. But I don't know why. I think it's a blueberry smoothies. I do feel older and my body feels creaky. I'm aware of Kronos, the god of time. Lord Saturn is an emissary of Kronos. Okay. Kronos is a god of which Saturn represents. And I've been feeling like, oh yeah, I think, come on, Aquarius. I don't care if you're a young Aquarian or middle-aged Aquarian. It's like you can feel the wheels of time. And I felt creaky with the wheels of time during this transit. It can cause anxiety and depression sometimes in some people, Saturn through the first house. But because Aquarius people are Saturn ruled, and we tend to be okay with Saturn for the most part. Like if you're an Aquarius rising, unless Saturn is in your 12th house, second house, 8th house, or 6th house, you're getting along to some degree and are very okay with Saturn. You've got the groove, right? So for the most part, a lot of Aquarius rising people are okay with the taskmaster moving through the house of us. So making us stronger, growing us up, adulting us up, making us aware of the preciousness of life and the wheels of time, making us feel responsible, hardworking, and being okay with the dutiful and alone quality to our lives. And of course, this for me dovetailed in all Aquarius risings with the pandemic. So I spent a lot of time alone, isolated in my Montreal apartment, working like a workaholic. So this was like 2020, 21, 22, and it's ending on March the 7th. So this is the end of that. And it won't come back again for 30 years. So it's a big deal. And we no longer feel this restriction, although Saturn now moves into our earnings house. Now there's a theory that where Saturn goes, he's preparing us for the next thing. And I got this from a lovely guy named Victor, an astrologer colleague. And the idea then would be also that as we were getting our body health challenges going on, as Saturn moved through our first house, he was preparing us to ready make his entrance into our second house of earnings, money and resources and possessions. Now, honestly, he could be making us ready to be more disciplined and conservative and structured in our finances. And also Saturn in terms of possessions can make our possessions leaner. We will sell and eliminate and pare down and simplify. We might recondo our life. If it doesn't bring us joy, let's get rid of it. It also can bring us conservative energy around possessions. We want refinement. We want the best stuff. We don't want to buy a piece of junk. We want a cashmere Chanel top, Nathan Allen sofa, and a quality BMW, but we might get a vintage one because it's Saturn and it may be used because Saturn's practical. So those kind of energies are changing for a lot of Aquariuses. And, as well, we've had Neptune in our money house since 2011. And that means that we've been very diffuse, foggy, confused, deluded, illusional around the money story, as well as maybe dealing with addictions to things we put in our mouth. Saturn will help us become focused and disciplined and measured around moderation, around foods and substances we shouldn't eat. And that's going to be a 3-year story, right? Starting in March, as well as help us bring our dreams into reality, our highest aspirations and visions for how we can make money. And let's be clear, Neptune rules video and videography. I use it because I earn money with Neptune in my second through video. And I've been doing that almost since he entered into my second house in 2011 through my various online iterations, not just as an astrologer. And in that sense, you may be finding that Saturn helps you structure and make that hard work tangible in a rewarding financial way, through the online world of video making, for example, for some Aquarians, or through Neptunian dreams and visions, a great spiritual vibe, your idealism, your visionary, spiritual, mystical stuff finally is bearing some concrete, tangible results. Making your financial dreams a reality can simply be a Jupiter Neptune energy, because Neptune is in the second house where Saturn is coming in and, making things real, bringing them into form. Like Saturn brings what is formless into form, basically. When Neptune and Saturn get together, they don't like each other per se, necessarily have very different standards, but this is what may happen for your money and your possessions and your finances and your earnings story. Your dreamy stuff becomes more real. At first, it might be disappointing, but then on the other hand, it might be more lucrative. Because one thing I'll say about Saturn, it's the tortoise and the hare story. Steady as she goes, right? And the steady, slow, conservative, practical, diligent, hardworking Saturn is going to win the day in your earnings house. It's not about a race to the finish line. Okay, cool. And anything else I want to say, Aquarius, because this is your teaser video, I'll give you another little tidbit for next year. If you guys don't have the romance of a lifetime, next year I'll be shocked. You got Venus all through June, July, August, September in your seventh house, with a retrograde in July through to September, meaning old ex-husbands or old significant business and love partners coming back out of the woodwork. And some of those could reconsolidate into a return of a significant relationship, and or if that's not true, even just having that, a new relationship of great power, a joy, enjoyment, love, harmony is coming into your life. Now, if you are a business person like me with YouTube and all outreach stuff, for a marketplace and audience, it could be a summer in which Venus simply says, you are so popular, you are so appealing. Now, Venus normally spends only 3 weeks in a sign. This is going to be 4 months. In the summer of 2020, sorry, brain come online, 22, when Venus went through my Leo 7th house part of the sky, I had a huge uptick in my subscribers, and it began to my channel began to take off. And so I had 3,000 subscribers at the beginning of last year, but the major growth where I am now approaching 15,000 happened since Venus entered into the 7th house of the audience and marketplace in the summer of 22 for me. And it's been up since then. The good news is Venus will set a new story of love in Cazimi in your 7th house, where she Cazimis on August 13th, and then over the course of the 9 months that follow, you rise in all 7th house matters: love, committed love, business partnerships, legal contracts, and visibility in a marketplace or audience environment. And this is a reset button for her. She's resetting from what she did there in 2019. You may have had some upswings in those areas around love, commitment, and all that, but not 2019 was a different story. She was in her far away from the earth on the other side of the sun connection to the star point, or the Cazimi with the sun, whereas this time she's between the earth and the sun, close to earth, because she's retrograding into the heart of the sun on August 13th. And this means it's a very profound and very deep energy regarding significant committed love stories, regarding business partnerships, and outreach to audience, marketplace, and clients. And it does tell a tale that lasts for 4 years, right? So there was like 2019 to 2023. Then it's going to be a new reset from 23 to 27, 2027. No, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I guess it's 2027. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. So I can't add at this time of day when I've been talking for 3 hours. And if you want more teaser stuff, you want to know more, you want to get the juice for the rest of the story for your sky, because there's a lot more going on around prosperity and real estate and home and luck and expansion, and really cool stories going on regarding the possibility as well of an incredible uplift or swing into new expansion regarding your online world trips, travel, and sibling relationships. These are stories you want to know about. They're coming into the fray next year. And to learn more about that, you need to get the All Signs video bundle, or just buy your rising sign or your sun or moon. Always reminding you your rising sign is most accurate. Please check my description box for everything I have to offer you, Aquarius. And also, if you're listening in the premiere with me, don't forget to hit my like button. OMG, I am just about done, and I'm going to try not to race through and overshoot, like by speeding through the Pisces story. Now, hang on a sec, because I'm queuing here on the back end in the dark here, so that I actually get Pisces on the horizon and not in the middle of nowhere. This is a problem sometimes when you're advancing the sky. There we go. All right. From the darkness of the dark, in the dark red light of Vancouver, Canada, on December the 11th. Oh my God, this is so Pat. This is just so dark. I'm going to tell you that you, Pisces, are having the experience, the highlight experience. I'm focused on the highlight, remember, of an increase in your wealth and your earnings and your money and your possessions. And this is courtesy of Lord Jupiter moving through your second house of money and earnings and possessions. Now, you got a foretaste last year, just a little bit, May the 11th to October 28th, but he retrograded in July and took back some of the gains. And then he actually only made it as far as your second house, which is also to say eighth degree of your second house, which didn't benefit anyone who was a Pisces rising sun or moon, unless you had that rising degree in the first 10 degrees of Pisces or your sun and moon. And if it was your sun, it could be your career and your father was benefiting and your mother, your home and your mother were benefiting, or your emotional life was benefiting from that a little bit. It's kind of in aversion to you. So it's not so much as acute as all that. But when Jupiter moves through your second house as well, he plants seeds for where the prosperity will come from in the future. So not always does it show up immediately, but certainly if your well has run dry financially, because you do have the transit of Chiron through your earnings house, and that's been ongoing since 2019 and doesn't end until 2026. You might be feeling like you're wounded in your earnings and money and possession story. And Jupiter's going to try to heal that. And he's going to even meet with Chiron there to try to heal that, because Jupiter can bless the Chironic wound. It is temporarily in your earnings part of your sky. So I know a lot of Pisces have felt that and felt that to be true for their life in some way over the last few years. Now, Jupiter here will move through the entirety, the whole range of, the second house. So it's going to benefit all Pisces, sun and moon and rising degree people. And one of the other things is that he's going to connect during this journey through the second house with the eclipse of the April 20th, because he's going to bump into an eclipse energy on the 20th, a total solar eclipse in your money house conjunct Jupiter, with the north node still traveling through your third house. Now, there's a lot of ways to partial. It's a hybrid eclipse. It could be a great financial gain through a third house person, a sibling, or an aunt, uncle, cousin, or through a trip or a travel, or through something to do with education. But all I can say is maybe involving both themes of the third and the second in this case. And when Jupiter conjunct the eclipse, it brings opportunity, but also he's eclipsed, so a benefic is eclipsed. So it could be like more money because there is an eclipsing of a powerful leader figure in your workspace. Or it could be that there's a bittersweet way that the money comes in. Okay, like, yes, you get it, but is there a downside to this? Is there a upside and a downside? I do think, though, for the most part, that eclipse on April the 20th is going to be a turning point of great magnificence in your finances. And it does start anytime the beginning of April through to 6 months after till October. So the eclipse story and the movement of Jupiter in your second house, huge energies, very important story. Now you're going to have an eclipse cycle beginning to move with a north node through your second house on July 16th at 18 months to the end of 24, where all of a sudden Rahu north node is expanding possessions, expanding resources, expanding wealth. So now you're also going to find that this is another story that continues what Jupiter starts. So Pisces are not material beings. You don't care as much as the rest of us about money. You need it and you want it, but you're not going to strive for it like at all costs, And we're spiritual, we're more transcendent and mystical and magical than to become a money grubber. But this is going to bake in a money story for the next 18 months, starting in July, of expanding your resources and possessions and money. When Jupiter's here in the beginning, the first 5.5 months, you have to watch for overindulgence, gluttony, and just eating too much food, putting everything in your mouth, not having a stop button on eating in particular, or drinking or smoking or whatever you're doing. This is things that go in the mouth. So be careful there. Just watch out for that. Also, the vibe here is you're pulling energy away after July from your eighth house. You're not focused on resources and money that come from your spouse, your inheritance, from your tax rebates, from your government grants, from your disability pension, from your pension, even from your investments, from your residual income. You're focused on making money. Like, you're going to start making money. You're going to get your hustle on. This is your time. And Jupiter starts the ball rolling. And then further down the line, the north node continues it to the end of 24. Another teaser for you, but I want you to buy my package to get the full Monty, right? And we're really talking about Jupiter a lot right now for you because he's the Lord of your sign. And so therefore, as Lord of, or chart ruler of Pisces rising, then this is important, sun and moon secondarily, is that he will spend a year in your third house. And this starts in the middle of July and it ends in the middle of July of 24, and this will expand and bless you in all things third house, especially May the 20th through to about June the 14th, when there's a big intense Rahu North Node Jupiter activity, big blessings, big exciting developments in that time frame with siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, and nephews, journeys, trips, and travel, online world, skills-based learning, neighborhood expansion, whatever. Some really good blessings here for you in this part of the sky. But don't forget, Jupiter will be blessing that third house for a year, and that year could be amazing. If you've always wanted to go on a caravan, trips and travel around, go on a journey, go on multiple journeys. If you've been always wanting to find joyful education and study something Jupiter is learning that you know is the right thing for you to learn. A lot of you Pisces rising mid-May of 23 to 24 will go back to school, but in a skills-based education that you can tangibly use. You'll be thriving and learning. If you're a teacher though, then this is great for you because you could also be teaching in that time. Finally, I mean, the third house is often about trips and travel for sure, domestically, but they can also involve the things that require you to travel. So you may get a Jupiter expansion, like a brand new fancy car. And very few of you are going to get a fancy plane, but you get a fancy boat, a fancy car, a fancy plane or train, travel devices expanding. And so for some of you, new car, new boat, but anyway, that kind of thing can happen anywhere in the May of 23 to 24 timeframe. And that's it. That's your teaser content. A lot more I can say regarding maybe a change of home coming for you next year, and also the activation potentially for you of some significant new health protocols and improving your health, especially next summer, as well as opportunities that are very lucky in the work environment, getting a job, basically a new job and stuff like that in the summer between like June to October. And there's a very precise timing to all of this. And I'll tell you why when you actually decide that you want to buy my all signs bundle below or get your one video all sign 1 hour reading from me. Okay. And, you know, you're adulting up. Lord Saturn's entering your house. So it's going to change how you see life and yourself. But again, I can't cover everything in the teaser. So if you want to know in depth how it influences you as a Pisces to have Lord Saturn entering your first house, I'll go into a lot of detail about how that would influence a Pisces being. Check out the description box below and get your 1 hour video. If you made it through this long video with me somehow in a live premiere, I don't think anyone could stay for 3 hours. I will live premiere it, but I probably won't even stay for the whole thing. Or if I do, I'm going to have to do it when I'm like cleaning the house or doing my laundry or doing some kind of spring cleaning. I think I'm going to put this out actually on Monday the 12th, which is tomorrow, because I want to pop it out fast. And usually Patreon community gets things first, but not this time because they're getting the 2020 all sign videos already. For the patrons who are already in my Patreon community, they get that for free. It only applies to people who are already there. You can't do that now and just jump in for $5 to get all my freebies. You had to be in my community over the last few months. Sorry, that's the way it works. All right. So thank you for listening to my long video. And I hope some of you will not only buy my videos below or the all signs bundle after listening to this, and share it with your friends and family, but support my channel in any way you can, even if it's just to subscribe or hit the like button. That means a lot to me. You don't have to buy anything from me, but it would be great if you did too. All right. I'm signing off at 5 o'clock on December the 11th. I think I started at 2 o'clock. So this is a long video. Wow. Thank you everyone for being here. I appreciate all of you. Take care and have an amazing 2023.